Hey, this is Josh Thompson. Thanks again for listening. If this content is encouraging to you, it would mean the world to us if you would rate the podcast. Your rating will help more people find the show. You can also journey with us by subscribing to our channel. And if you share it on social media, please feel free to tag me and our guests. We appreciate when you share this podcast with those you know. We are believing it will continue to stoke the fire in people again. Special thank you to Landmark Coffee Roasters, a sponsor for this podcast. If you haven't tasted their coffee, you got to go check it out. They got the best beans in Southern California. Go to landmarkroasters.com. Type in promo code Stoke House to get 20% off. That's landmarkroasters.com. Special thank you to Ola Canvas, a sponsor for this podcast. They build super durable, high-quality clothing out of Costa Mesa, California. Ola Canvas is a small business of creators making some of my favorite clothing and products on the planet because they take time to build each piece and make it with high-quality material. Check them out at olacanvas.com. That's O-L-A canvas.com. Welcome to the Stoke House. Time to get fired up. Yee! Ladies and gentlemen, Joey Buran in the Stoke House. Joey, you are 1984 Pipe Masters champion, pipeline king in Hawaii. You became professional surfer at 17 years old. You've gone on to become the Team USA surf coach, leading them to victory, and had the great privilege of being inducted into the Surf Hall of Fame. Unreal. You are also the pastor and founder of Worship Generation, whom Phil Wickham and Jeremy were also a part of back Calvary Costa Mesa. Incredible. You are also a church planner and went on to plant a few churches on the East Coast.
Yes.
A lot of people might not know this, but you are the dancing machine. Dancing machine, bringing joy, inspiration, passion everywhere you go. You're this bright light, always encouraging people in the pursuit of their dreams.
Thank you.
If you would give me one touch of these dance moves, my Stoke level would go to 10, no doubt. And you are now the author of Beyond the Dreams, a memoir of your life.
Yes.
And the book is out now. You can find it on joeybrand.com. It's out everywhere. You can find it on Amazon.
Barnes & Noble. Yeah,
Barnes
it's out
& Noble.
there. Yep.
You can pick it up. You are married to Jennifer 37 years. Is that right?
Yes.
Shout out to Jennifer.
Yes.
And you have 4 children and 9 grandchildren. Is this right?
That is correct.
Yeah. You're a rich man.
The Bible says in Genesis 1, be fruitful and multiply. It's the first thing God spoke to humanity, yes. And I take it seriously.
You're a rich man. I've been super stoked about this one. The California kid is in the Stoke House. Joey Buran, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Super stoked and honored. Thanks, you.
And thanks for letting us into your home.
Yeah, this is mi casa, su casa.
Beautiful place. Yeah. So, gosh, we want to hear about this journey. You grew up. Did you grow up in the water? Let me rewind. So you just put out the book, and this is a memoir of your life.
Yes.
Yeah. And we want to hear about this journey because there's just so many details. I think so many fascinating details of, from the water, to ministry and all the things that God has done in your life. There's just a lot of different angles to look from. But did you grow up here in Southern California?
No. So there are layers to this journey.
Yeah.
And I've been saying for years before it was in, I would say enjoy the journey because that's what I've learned in life, whether you're pursuing a dream as a pro surfer, as a teenager, or a pastor. He was pastoring a small church, working a regular job in some distant land like Vermont. Mm-hmm. You got to enjoy the journey, right? Because it has been a journey, and we all get one. And so that's Joey Brand's, the positive, the dance, all that. I want people to enjoy the journey, and so the book really is about the journey of how this kid born March 21st, 1961. In Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
To a military family. My dad was a career Marine.
Wow.
He served in Korea and Vietnam.
Wow.
My mom was an all-girls Catholic school type of girl. She all through college, all girls school, straight A, belle of the ball, homecoming queen, all that kind of stuff. And that was my upbringing. My parents, I had the Marine dad from Madison, Wisconsin, the Catholic mom from Cleveland, Ohio. I have an older brother, 3 years older, and a younger sister, 6 years younger.
Okay.
And so that's my family frame that I keep.
Middle child?
Yep. And
yes.
Let me tell you, I fulfill and to a T the stereotypes of Middle child, like for sure. Like, so for example, my brother went to Catholic school.
Okay.
My sister went to Catholic school.
Yeah.
No way me. And I asked my mom a few years back, like, why? I really want to know, because there's great education. Why didn't you send me to Catholic school? And she goes, Joey, I could not do that to the nuns. I could not do that to the nuns.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I got to go to church and face them. She goes, there's no way I could turn you over to them. And that kind of is a little bit of background to me being in the water, how I ended up becoming a swimmer long before I was a pro surfer.
Really?
Yeah, because I had all that energy.
When did you get in the water? When was your first time in?
7 was when I began to swim on a swim team.
Okay.
And so that's in the book. But there's this journey because, I was born in Cleveland. My dad was gone overseas at the time. And then whenever my dad was deployed, like in Vietnam, we would go back to Cleveland. My godparents are in Cleveland. So I grew up in the 60s with all like the Monkees, the Beatles. My first album was the Beatles' Hard Day Night LP. And then I immediately gravitated toward Motown. Once I got a 45 with Wilson Pickett, man, it was over.
Were you dancing back then?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
We had the old mono players. I get the 45. I remember being in a basement, Wilson Pickett, Midnight Hour, at least 20 times.
Yes.
It was always in me, it was always in me. So that was my childhood. Like we lived in Cleveland. We lived in Guam on a military base.
No way.
Yeah, when I was 3 and 4.
Wow.
My dad was a recruiter for the Marine Corps at that time. Then we came back to Cleveland when he was deployed to Vietnam. And then he came back from Vietnam shortly before Tet in 67. He was stationed in Quantico for 3 years. So that's how we got to Virginia. And that's 1st through 3rd grade. And my mom she couldn't, man, I was a handful. And in the book I talk about that I pretty much brought out the worst in my mom and my older brother. Yeah, I don't know.
Fucking buttons.
I pushed the buttons.
Yeah.
But my mom, is so classic because because my dad was a Marine, we had short hair. And, of course, I wanted long hair like everyone did in 67, 68. But I just enough that my mom could grab it. So I like the kind of the high and tight, but and my mom, she would grab that and she could pull me, right?
Yes, yeah.
So it was the brush, the wooden spoon, whatever.
Yeah, got it.
And it never worked, but she felt better about it.
Right. I tried to do something. Right?
Yeah, she felt better about it. And your dad's going to get you, and my dad couldn't discipline me. Like he always felt bad for me because he knew my mom got me first.
Right.
So in the midst of this, there was a swim team on base in Quantico, and they're called the Devil Dolphins, Quantico Devil Dolphins.
Okay.
And my mom found this program where after school they come by with the bus, total Marine thing, military thing, come by with the bus, pick up the kids at the regular bus stop, and take them to swim practice. And I immediately took to it. My brother did it too, and I took to it. So we had this 50-meter pool about 5 miles away. We'd go back and forth, and it became pretty serious, like regular AAU swimming. And I loved it. And my mom loved it because I'm 3-4 days a week.
Yep.
I come home, I'm tired, and I go to bed, and I don't provoke her and bring out her worst.
You're getting your energy out, yeah.
Yeah, so that was a good fit. And that really took off to going to swim meets almost every weekend and then having success, like winning. And I became a really good breaststroker and butterfly.
Okay. These are your events?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, freestyle backstroke, not so much, but butterfly breaststroke. And I got better and better. And, when you're a kid, when you're winning, you feel good. If you play Little League and you get the game ball and you earn the game ball, you feel good about it, right? So this is what we did in Quantico. And then we moved to Charlottesville, where University of Virginia is, because my dad got stationed again in Okinawa. So he went first to Charlottesville to get his master's degree with the Marine Corps support. Then he got stationed in Okinawa. So we lived there a couple years, and that's when I got really serious with swimming. We would go to these swim meets everywhere, all over Virginia. And then, for example, even during the school year, early in the morning. So Charlottesville it's in the mountains, right? So it gets snow. And I can remember we would go to this other guy's house down the street. He had a 1-lane, 25-meter pool in the basement with an interval training clock.
Wow.
1 lane. And this is me before school. In the dark, it's like 30 degrees. We go inside. It's, the water's heated, but it's still like it's thick brown Virginia in February, March, whatever.
Wow. And this was in the basement?
This is in the basement. Wow. It was a 1-lane pool. He went on a Division I scholarship to Indiana.
Wow.
But it was James Kegley.
Okay.
And I got to train there in the mornings before school.
Wow.
So that's how serious we were. And then...
How old are you at this time?
11.
11. When did it kick in? You're just like, I'm actually kind of good at this. Like, maybe I should really dig in.
Well, it kicked in by the time we got to Charlottesville.
Okay.
Because when I was 8 and under, I became like one of the best 8 and under swimmers in the state.
Wow.
And then I moved to 9 and 10. I was really good. But I tell people, before Tom Curran, there's a life lesson here. there's always someone bigger, better, faster, stronger in life. And Courtney Conalog, the famous pro surfer from California, told me second place is the first loser. And I said, no, it's not. If second place is your very best, you're not a loser. And I'd try and convince her that. And what I told her is there's always someone better. So you better learn how to live with second place because sooner or later, someone's better. Sooner or later, Tom Brady's done and Patrick Mahomes is the guy.
Right.
That's just the way it works.
Right.
So later on in my pro surfing career, Tom Curran eclipsed the California Kid. And that was really hard to take. But actually, if you go back to Virginia, Josh Morton was my rival in the 50 breast and the 100 breast to be the best in the state. And we're like battling to set state records in the short pool and the long pool, 50 and 25. And there was a morning in Virginia in Charlottesville where my mom's car didn't start. And the 50-meter pool was my best pool because I'd lose on the turn. And I was set up to set a state record this day. I was right there, like 1/10 of a second from being able to set a state record. And there weren't that many long-distance pool events, the 50-meter pool. And this is my chance. I'm going to get Josh Morton. I'm going to set the state record. The car didn't start. The car didn't start. And I cried. You know, the AAA came out. We're in Charlottesville. The meet was like in Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
It was like 5 in the morning, and it was too late. And that was a huge disappointment for me because Joey Brown was already thinking like, be the best, whatever I do in 5th grade. And my dad was gone and my mom felt terrible. But I tell people, you know, that's how life is. You know, you don't always, it didn't go your way. And especially in ministry and just in general at 63, I tell people life is testings, trials, tribulations, and tragedies. So you have to decide whether or not you're going to triumph.
Wow.
And that's the real issue. And people who are successful triumph, and people who, you know, invite Jesus to be over them, that triumph with an eternal purpose, and all things work together for good. But in 5th grade, that was so...
It was devastating.
It was devastating. And so this
it's a big deal for a kid, man, especially when you got your eyes set on it. That's kind of your biggest thing in life. It's like, I need this.
Exactly. And, you know, I've coached kids at all levels. I've coached Little League. I've coached elite surfers. I was an Olympic coach. And you'd be surprised how serious a 5th grader can be to be great in their sport. In fact, most Olympians in the last Olympics that we just saw in Paris, they were probably very serious and way above the curve as 5th graders for what their dreams were and what they wanted to do. And that's how I was with swimming.
They already set their mind. Yeah.
Yes, and you got to go back. This is 1972.
Wow.
Munich Olympics is Mark Spitz and the 7 gold medals. The poster with the 7 gold medals is a very famous image in American history because no one ever done that.
Right.
Long before Michael Phelps, is Mark Spitz with his 7 gold medals. It was unheard of. So this is that same timeline. So Spitz was my hero. My dad came back from Okinawa, and now it's the summer of 72. We're stationed in California, Camp Pendleton. I'm so excited we're going to California.
Camp Pendleton.
Camp Pendleton. And my brother and dad drove across country in the Country Squire station wagon. My dad with his crew cut, my brother with the long hair. This is Partridge Family Brady Bunch time now.
Yeah.
That's where we're at, okay?
Awesome.
This is our timeline. For real, this is the way it was.
Okay.
And we flew. Dulles Airport had just been built at that time. My mom, my sister, and I drove up from Charlottesville, and we flew out of Dulles Airport. And we came into LAX, and I always remember, there's 2 things about this day. To this day, I remember so clearly. Coming into LAX at evening time with the sun setting and seeing all the palm trees. Now, if you're from California, it doesn't mean anything, but when you're coming from the East Coast and you see all those palm trees, you know, flying over like Inglewood and all that, like,
Sure.
there's palm trees there. I was so excited.
Yeah.
We drove to Oceanside.
Wow.
My dad had an apartment. By the time we got to Oceanside, it's dark. This is exactly what happened. I got out of the car, ran to the grass in front of the apartment, and I kissed the ground.
Oh, I love it.
I kissed the ground for real.
Man.
Because my future was in California.
So you were stoked already. You couldn't wait.
I was so stoked. This is my future. It's going to happen in California.
Yeah.
I kissed the first ground I really touched on outside of LAX cement.
Yeah.
I kissed the ground in Oceanside.
Wow. And how old are you?
I was 11.
11 years old.
Yeah, and this is like August of 72. The Olympics, the Munich Olympics was literally happening at this time. Within a month, we bought the house in Carlsbad, and I began 6th grade at Magnolia School in Carlsbad. And this is really where the whole surf thing came in, because when I went to school, so when we moved into the house in Carlsbad, my parents bought me this wallpaper. It was sports wallpaper, like baseball, football, basketball, traditional East Coast, Midwest.
Sure.
The whole room.
Yeah.
Okay. And I had my own room. It was very exciting.
Yeah.
Well, within a few weeks at Magnolia Elementary School, I'm looking at the guys with the wallabies and the Billabong cords, with the Brady Bunch hair. I'm like, that's my crew. That's my crew. And they're surfers. They're all surfers.
Yeah.
And they had to talk like, dude, bro. Stoked.
Right.
And this is even pre-Spicoli kind of surfers.
I love it.
This is the ultimate counterculture, 1972.
Okay.
You know, it's the election year with Nixon and Nixon against McGovern.
Wow.
It's like a movie. It couldn't be a movie, but this is what was going on. The soundtracks of 72, just picture it. This is my life.
And you're in Carlsbad.
And I'm in Carlsbad at Magnolia School. Valley Junior High is right next to us across the street. And I'm like, I got to surf, but I'm swimming. So my mom signed me up for Oceanside Swim Club. I'm there 3-4 days a week at the Brook Street pool right there, right off the freeway. It's still there. But what I found out when you come to California, and this is what East Coast people, Midwest find out when they come to California, there's a lot of really talented people in California.
Right.
And there were way more good swimmers. I moved up in age group, and there's guys that, some guys grow up quicker physically at 12 than others.
Totally.
And there were just like men in the pool that were 12. And so my mom made me swim, but I was losing interest in it. But what ended up happening is like we made a deal that I would finish out the season, which would be the Junior Olympics in the summer of 73 in San Diego. And then we'd seal the fruit, call it a deal. Because my mom, one great thing about my mom and my dad is we always finish what we started. We just couldn't quit. And my kids growing up, same thing. You sign up for Little League, you're playing till June, whether you win or not. So all of our kids understand.
Love that.
If you're playing high school football, even if you're injured or you're still there with the uniform on the bench till the banquet happens. And that's the way it is, because you don't want to have a bad habit of starting and not finishing things.
So good.
And I learned that from my mom and my dad. So that's why in the book it's called God and Country, because mom was God with catechism, Catholic mass, and all those things. Dad was Marines, country, pride, freedom, democracy. So that's why it's chapter 2 is God and Country. Originally it was chapter 1, but we revised, strengthened the book. It became chapter 2. So you have to understand that's how it was for me.
Got it.
And in my dad's eyes, surfing was the worst thing I could do. It was totally counterculture. I was playing Little League.
Yeah.
I was playing for Western Auto.
Okay.
But my mom was more like, hey, this is what he wants to do. So we got a surfboard for my 12th birthday in March of 73.
What was your first board?
It was a 6'3" blue board, single fin, before leashes. It was shaped by a local guy, Mike Gilligan, who later on became the main rep for Rusty brand when they blew up in the 90s.
Wow.
And it was $35.
Yes.
It was right there.
Brand new.
Well, no, it was used. It was used.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
even better.
But it was beautiful. It was a beautiful blue board. And when we were doing the book, so I'd done the book, and we brought in Robert Yaling, who's a prolific writer, 25 books, very famous journalist, sports beat guy with Tony Gwynn, Dan Fouts back when he was like 19 for the North County Times.
Wow.
We brought him in, and when he and his people were reading the story about buying the surfboard, I had an epiphany. It was a great tip for people who would want to write a book, because anyone talks about writing a book, I give them what I've learned in writing a book. You learn a lot because you learn a lot, right? You learn in the journey. There was a moment we're working on the book on a Zoom about this surf shop experience where Erin Jenkins, who's a soccer mom in Kentucky, and we're on Zoom, and she said, in her Kentucky accent, Joey, I don't surf, but you can explain to me what that surf shop was like. She goes, what did it smell like? What did it look like? And this is where I became a better storyteller. And this is where if I write in the future, I'll be better, because suddenly it wasn't just like information like, oh, I went to the surf shop, it's $35, the board was blue.
Yeah.
And no, I was like, oh, it smelled like, if you know the smell, Zog's sex wax. The surf wax has a very strong smell.
Totally.
And it's a nice smell. It's a good smell. And a lot of surf shops smell like that. So it smelled like this. And Barbie Barron's trophies were on top on this rack, and they had cobwebs on them. And they went all around the shop. So I'm describing the shop. And the used boards were in the back. And Novak's was a burger place. You could smell the smell of hamburgers.
Nice.
See, that's the art of storytelling.
Yeah.
And that's where they really helped me with the book, like
Totally.
tell the story. But that was when I bought that first surfboard. And so here's the craziest thing. Like, I just figure like surfing's like shooting basketball or something. Like you just do it. Like, oh yeah, you see you do this, you do that. I got home, my big brother, who I was always annoying to my big brother. I brought out the worst in my big brother. I said, I want to surf. So I literally got on my bed and I said, hey, just move the board for me. So I practiced surfing with him moving the mattress.
I love it.
This is 1973. This is Brady Bunch. This is Peter Brady. I'm doing it. Like, this is happening. Well, the next weekend, I got to go surfing, but I didn't like the wax. It looked ugly, so I took all the wax off because wax was ugly. I didn't know anything. And so I go down the beach with my board with no wax on it. And these girls from my classroom like, oh, Joe Buran, because no one called me Joey till later. I was Joe Buran.
Okay.
It's like, oh, Joe Buran, you surf? I'm like, of course I surf. Joe Buran, like... I'm Joe Buran, of course I surf. And like, oh, I'm going to paddle out right now. So this is March.
Yeah.
And we know that oftentimes the water in California, March like 56.
Right.
Water's cold.
Oh, yeah.
I have no wetsuit.
Oh, wow.
I've got no wax on my board.
Oh, wow.
I am a good swimmer, so I'm like, I'm Joe Buran, of course I surf.
Right.
So they're watching me, I paddle out. Have you ever tried to surf on a surfboard without wax?
Only when I forget my wax.
Yeah. Even when you have wax, it's all slippery. Like you sand, rough it up. If there's no wax, there's just no...
Right.
You can't, it's like, you just can't even keep the board.
Totally.
So I couldn't even.
It's like a soap bar under you.
It was a soap bar.
Just sliding off.
It was so embarrassing that you had to look away. I remember they were looking away, you know? And I was like, oh, our Father in heaven, please don't let him bring it up at school. You know?
Oh, I love it.
And they acted like they never saw it at school, so that was pretty cool.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
You know? So
where'd you paddle out at? What was
Tamarack. Tamarack Beach. So if you take I-5 and you exit Carlsbad Village Drive, that used to be Elm Street, and then the next one is Tamarack. They're all Chestnut. They're all street names back in the 50s when Carlsbad was developing. So Tamarack, you know, dumps right there, that little bathroom, lower parking lot. Not much has changed actually. And at that time, Offshore Surf Shop was right across from the beach. There was that green belt wasn't there. It was just dirt and hippies and druggies and you know, it was a gnarly. It was a 73. It was a gnarly crowd. It's not a very good wave. Tamarack is definitely a below average wave, but like Doheny, it's a soft wave. So it's a great wave to learn on. So I showed up with wax the next time and began to figure it out. And there was no surf schools or surf coaches. There's nothing like that.
Right.
And so...
Or videos, really, right?
There's nothing. There's nothing. What there was once a year in your TV guide was Wide World of Sports Pipeline Masters. That's all you had. You had surf magazines that came out every other month, Surfer and Surfing. I read every single one, every ad, every letter. I absorbed it. So once I'd been surfing for about a month, without my mom's permission, some friend had given me a bunch of old surf magazines. I cut them up. I redid my entire wallpaper. I covered the entire wallpaper with surf shots.
Awesome.
So Michael Ho, Sean Thompson, Larry Bertelman, Barry Kanapuni, my entire, every piece of my wall. My mom was like, Joe, you know, because she paid for the wallpaper. But she's like, it's his dream.
Yeah.
And so I had the ugliest stance. I had this wide stance. And I didn't have a wetsuit, and the water's like 57 degrees, so you can only last like 15 minutes, 20 minutes max.
Right.
But
you're going numb.
You're going numb, but I learned the sand can warm you up. And that's how I got my first nickname, the sand crab. So I had this ugly stance. So I figured out how to catch whitewater pretty easily and jump up, and I do these little squiggly, like when little kids learn to surf in the whitewater, like, look,
totally.
Like, like, you know, like Eve. Right? You know, it's like that thing. And you're pumped, you're psyched. And it only lasts so long when you see people actually catching green face waves and doing bottom turns. And I was really stumped in the whitewater. I had a really, really ugly style. And I told everyone, like, I'm going to be a really good surfer. And this is really before pro surfing, but I'm like, I'm going to be the best surfer. And like, this kid's so annoying. And my mom let me grow out my hair. So I had the long hair starting to go like Brady Bunch, family.
Yeah.
And there was a key moment. So I was a whitewater guy all the way till August of that same summer. But then where the Army Navy Academy is, one day I was down there, and this is in the book. This is a detail that's not in the book. I edited it out later on because it sounds like it's always Joey and girls. So I'm at Army
Easter
Navy.
egg.
So I'm at Army Navy Academy, and I'm really good at riding the whitewater. And there's some girls from my class. And they said, Joe Buran, you can surf. I'm like, oh, I can surf. So I knew I could at least ride the whitewater and do squiggly turns.
Yeah.
I paddled out. I caught 3 waves in a row on the peak. And I was like so stoked. I didn't care what the girl, but you're 6 years going into something, you're like, right. But I actually caught 3 waves.
Crazy.
And it's in the book where I went home on the bike, just ecstatic. That moment when you're, it's like Stand By Me, the movie or something, coming of age. And I actually, the rematch of telling girls in the class I could surf, I actually did surf. And they just thought, oh, hey, you caught 3 waves. I'm like, no, I caught 3 waves. And that was it. And here's the real key moment is later that year during football season. So my family used to go to San Diego State football games when it was Don Coryell, Brian Sipe back in the day at Jack Murphy Stadium. And we had friends, their military family, would go down and stay at their house and have Kentucky Fried Chicken, go to the game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Why Will the Sports was on with the Pipe Masters. Jerry Lopez winning the Pipe Masters. And I was like, so I just ridden green-faced wave first time, and I had never seen anything like it before in my life. I'd seen the magazines, but not seen it live. I watched Jerry Lopez win the Pipe Masters on the Sports, and there's a lot going on. They're like Marines are drinking cocktails or whatever, you know.
Sure.
And I was like, Mom, I'm going to win that contest. I'm going to win that contest. Sure you are, Joe. You know, my mom's like the classic officer's wife. You know, she's got the beehive hair. Sure you are, Joe. I'm going to win that contest. You know, all these movies you see from the 60s and 70s, that's my family.
Wow.
Pre-cut dad, beehive mom.
Yeah.
Dad had a cigar, mom had a cigarette. Sure you are, Joe.
Right.
Yeah. And
you're just this kid watching this TV.
And I said, Mom, I mean it. I'm going to win this contest. Yeah, Joe, you can do whatever you want, you know?
Wow. And
literally, that's when I knew that was my purpose in life. Until it happened. And it's crazy because I was born in Cleveland. I never been in the Pacific Ocean until I was 12, in that sense, 11 and 12. I kissed the ground when I got to California. Who kisses the grass in Oceanside, by the way, right? But I just knew, like, this is where I talk about, like, just God's hand on your life. Like, what would compel this kid who's a swimmer? And I just quit AAU swimming that summer. I did really well in that last AAU, made 2 finals. My mom was happy. We all went home happy. Green ribbon, white ribbon, seal the fruit. You know, 64 guys. I shouldn't have been in the finals. I made 2 finals, lane 7 and lane 8. Breaststroke, butterfly. Came home with the ribbons, called it a game, called it a career. Now it's all surfing. I see Jerry Lopez win the pipe by November on TV. I'm like, that's me.
And one of the other like details in this story that I'm like realizing is, by the hand of God, you also just so happen to land on one of the best stretch of beaches in Southern California, or in California, period. Right. I mean, if people don't know Camp Pendleton, Carlsbad, like, what could you explain what that, like, this stretch of beach is like?
Right.
The gold.
Well, actually, if you start with Trestles, in the north part of, so Trestles is about 18 miles north of Oceanside.
Yep.
And Camp Pendleton's about 20 miles. It's on the north end. It's still San Diego County.
Yes.
So Trestles is technically San Diego County.
Is it really? I didn't know that.
And I was a military dependent.
Yeah.
So back then you couldn't even get on the base because during Nixon with Cottons, all that was closed because Nixon had his house. So it was very difficult from 68 to 72 and before he was removed from the White House at the same time. This is that timeline we're talking about. You couldn't even go to Trestles because the president stayed there.
Wow.
So right when he, you know, Agnew went down, then Nixon's out, suddenly it opened up Trestles. Well, I was a military dependent, and I had the military card so I could get on base. Yes. And then we found out DMJ, Del Mar J's on the other side of Oceanside Harbor, 17 miles to the south, was a world-class beach break. But Trestles is a point break. So it peels longer. It's a longer ride, gives you more turns. They've decided the world champion there 3 years in a row.
Yes.
And it's a world-class wave that's anywhere in the world to be a world-class wave.
Yep.
It's a lot of people, it's their favorite wave in the world.
Right.
It's like a skate park, they say.
Totally.
But when you come down where we lived in Oceanside, Carlsbad, there's good beach breaks. They get swell from every direction. So that means it's a sand bottom. But you have the jetties that give the waves better shape. So it makes it good. So for example, Laguna Beach is these weird reefs. There's not a lot of good surf in Laguna Beach. They're quirky reefs. They can get good.
Right.
But day in and day out, North San Diego County has fantastic surf. Carlsbad, beach break, then the soft reefs at Tamarack. Terramar, soft reefs. Then you come down to Leucadia, Encinitas, Cardiff, reefs, mostly reefs, soft reefs. That means they're not sharp like Hawaiian reefs, like seagrass, great learning waves. And then suddenly Swamis is a world-class wave, one of the best waves in the world. Cardiff Reef is a world-class wave. Seaside Reef, these are all within a mile and a half. It's like our little North Shore. It's like Pipeline Sunset. Fantastic surf, world-class waves. By the way, Swami's, Cardiff Reef, and Seaside are completely different from each other.
Right.
They're unique waves. And so this was all within, well, Trestles was 20 miles to the north from Carlsbad. Seaside Reef was maybe 15 miles to the south, but Blacks was 20 miles to the south. So once you get past Seaside Reef, you go about another 5 miles, you got Torrey Pines and Blacks. Blacks is without a doubt one of the most formidable open ocean waves on the West Coast. It's a beach break. It's powerful. It's much like Hawaii. It's tricky. And then the reefs of La Jolla are world-class as well. So if you go from where I live in Carlsbad, you go 20 miles north, you have the point break, one of the best point breaks in the world, Trestles.
Yes.
Then you go 20 miles south all the way to the La Jolla Reefs, Wind and Sea, Big Rock.
Yep.
You have the full variety pack of world-class waves. So in 1973, it was all locals, black wetsuits, localism,
cool.
you know, the vibe, you know, it's a hard time getting.
So cool. It's the beginning of it all, you know, right?
It really is. Like back then you go, well, first of all, Carlsbad was 16,000. Encinitas, Lucati was like 2,000. Encinitas like 7,000. Carter was like 1,000. Del Mar was 2,000. Like,
So that's what's crazy is you're literally dropped within in the center of like 40, 50-mile stretch of like the best waves, like some of the best waves in the whole
the
world.
West Coast, and most varied.
Yeah.
See, most varied. If you go to Chile, it's a lot of left point breaks. There's similar waves. This is variation: northwest swell, north swell, west swell, south swell, hurricane, southern hemi, what they call an east swell. All of it hits this coastline, and so you dial it in like a fisherman. You know where to be and the right spot, the fishing hole, and that's what we did. This is before Surfline. This is before all that stuff.
Right.
You learn like with the tides, and we had the tide books that we would get, and we just understand. And so for me, that 73 to 74, when I was in 7th grade, I met David Barr. He was in 6th grade, a different 6th grade school, more down by the Oceanside border there, by the lagoon, Buena Vista. Well, he was a good surfer. He's a regular foot. He was quiet, smooth style. I was loud, goofy foot, loud, style, everything. We became really good friends. And then the next year we were together at Valley Junior High in 8th and 7th grade. And we were partners in crime. And we just cut school like there's no tomorrow. We're like little rascals when the truancy officers are looking for them. And back then when you cut school, everyone knew you were cutting school. It's not like homeschool now and alternative and all this kind of like whatever. You know, like, I mean, you see 2 13-year-olds hitchhiking on PCH to relax. You know that they're like, those guys are ditching school.
Right.
And my mom learned a long time ago, you couldn't make Joey Brand do anything. Joe Brand, he didn't want to do, because people still call me Joe at that time. So Dave and I, we'd leave our boards at a house at Tamarack. We'd cut school. We'd ride our skateboards. This was right when the Bain skateboards with the Cadillac wheels. We'd just gone from clay to Cadillac wheels. So it really was an upgrade for riding skateboards. We'd skateboard. We'd just leave school. We just leave. And that's what we did. I mean, it's so weird. Like we had smoking places at school, like, you know, the smoking area. You know, like the showers where 50 people take showers together. I'm not taking a shower with anybody, man. First day of freshman year, the coach, that's where the men take their shower. I'm looking at these guys. I'm not taking a shower.
I'm out of here.
I never went to PE class my freshman year. Like, I'm going surfing.
Yeah.
People go, "Do you have surf PE?" I did, but I didn't get credit for it. It was a different time. You know? It was just so different, right? Like it was. People smoked on planes. You know, it was in 1973. So here's me and Barr hitchhiking to Blacks. Swamis, 10 feet, looked like Sunset Beach to us. And then you had the surf movies, right?
Wow.
So the surf movies would be at La Paloma Theater or Carlsbad High. So me and DB, he'd always look at the guys going right, like Jeff Hackman and kind of Pooney at Sunset Beach. I'd watch Trey Lopez at Pipeline Sky. And so I always wanted to get barreled on the left, and David always wanted to do a big turn on the right. And we just had this dream. And I could convince him to cut school and do all these things. And we have crazy stories. Like,
so cool.
We literally hitchhiked up and down the coast, and we got better and better. And there really wasn't a pro tour. There were hardly any contests. Contests is kind of not cool. But because of my swimming background, like, I got to compete. And Dave was like, yeah, let's do this. So we did the military event at Camp Pendleton, Dependence Contest. I got last my first heat. I lost my board first wave, got last. But I still told everyone, I'm going to be king of the pipeline like Joey Lopez. I literally feel like this kid, man, someone's got to stop this kid. And this kid is out of control. And, but we were becoming the best surfers in Carlsbad, both David and I.
You're 14 at this?
14, yeah, 73, 74.
And you're riding the single fin still, the 6'3"?
Yeah. So my first wetsuit was an O'Neill pullover top, so that was moving up. Then I got what they're now, like, older guys all know these wetsuits, the Surfer House front zip. There was a Surfer House full suit, Brad McCall. In the mags. And you know, my mom got me that one for Christmas. I got a skateboard and a full suit. She goes, you get one or the other. I needed both for Christmas. It was like Christmas 70, it's probably 74. I'm like, I need them both. And she's like, we're only getting one. And then she gave me both.
Ah, dude, go mom.
Go mom. Bain skateboard, Cadillac wheels, and the Surfer House full suit. Just so I could cut school and make her mad and bring out her worst. So off we went. So my 8th grade year, I got suspended 3 times for various things. Fighting. Yeah. But I wasn't really fighting. And then I actually... Yeah, this helps you explain my mom. You know, like I said, Joe Brand, you'll be the death of me. But I actually got suspended for like pulling my pants down, like
Mooning people.
yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. And this story's never...
Which is what young boys do.
I should filter
This is what they do.
See, this isn't in the book, so this is why this podcast is worth it.
I love it.
So I had stolen the surf books, every surf book in the Valley Junior High Library.
Yes.
And so the librarian had accused me of stealing all the surf books, and I pulled my pants down. And it happened right when the vice principal walked in the other door.
Oh,
for real.
Oh, I love
my
it.
mom showed up. They called my mom. Mr. Rouse was the principal. Was like, you got to come get Joe.
Yeah, oh, it's great.
And she said, there's no way he pulled his pants down in the library. And I said, I assure you, Mrs. Buran, he pulled his pants down in the library.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Yeah. So, and then I showed up for my first day of freshman class 4 months later, and the PE, take a shower with these guys. I'm like, I'm not taking a shower with these guys. So that's kind of how it was all going for me, 74, 75. But here's the thing. This is pretty critical in the storyline of growing up in Carlsbad, North County, because now people are moving to North County. Houses are starting to be built. Elm goes through to El Camino now. Like all these things were starting to happen. The whole North County that's now like $2 million homes. My mom and dad bought for $40,000.
Wow.
It was about Ocean View too.
Unreal.
So this is all, like the whole world was changing so much. This is the 70s. So you get Gerald Ford healing the country, then Jimmy Carter becomes the president and all that stuff. And this is all kind of that timeline. Because again, if you're watching a movie, these are the events of the time. Fall of Saigon, 75. This is when me and David Barr cut in school. We're watching the helicopter be thrown off the ship, and they're in the ocean off of Vietnam with the fall of Saigon. This was the news. Walter Cronkite. This is our world. San Diego Union. This, Dave Winfield with the Padres, right? Like this is that time. This was our world that we were growing up in, and it was an amazing time to be alive and be young and a teenager in North San Diego County in the 70s. But now pro surfing's starting to happen. Now there's paying people for pro surfing in like 75, 74, 70. There's not a tour yet in 75, but Michael Peterson, Peter Townend, these guys are starting to make money with pro events. So me and David Barr are going to be pro surfers. And so in my 8th grade class, I always remember, so Ken Keebo did the intro for my book. He's won two Emmy Awards as a TV producer. He had a Super 8 film camera that he let me borrow to do a surf video in 8th grade. So I just filmed me and Barr and these guys, and like it's all great.
So cool.
Yeah. So for his 8th grade project, and I got like, I said, we're gonna be pro surfers, and I'll never forget what my teacher said. She said, you'll never get paid to surf.
Wow.
1975. She goes, you'll never be a pro surfer.
Whoa.
Surfers will never be paid to surf. And this is why I tell teachers, you should be careful what you say.
Right.
And this is why I tell pastors, think about what you're saying before you say it. Because you just never know where things might go. And I'd rather build people up in their dreams than tear them down in their dreams.
That's good.
I had a public school teacher tell me I'll never be a pro surfer. And that might work on some people, because some people just be small-minded and walk away like, oh, I guess I'll never be a pro surfer. I'm like, no, I'm going to be a pro surfer, and I'll show you.
Right.
I'll be the highest paid pro surfer in the world in 1982. You just wait and see. I'm Joe Buran. And that's it. I don't know why I was always like this. My brother just shake his head. David Barr go, dude, it's Joe being Joe. Like that's how it is. And but in the summer of 74 to 75, David and I started surfing these contests, WSA.
Okay.
It was before NSSA, the famous association out here on the West Coast. Well, it's actually nationwide. And we were doing good. And I got invited to the U.S. Championships in South Padre Island, Texas. So I didn't have any money. My mom said, if you get the money, you can go. See, there's your, military dad, Catholic mom. Hey, Joe, you put out the effort, you get what life is you sow, you reap. You put out the effort, you get it. No free rides. And I appreciate my parents for doing that. So this is 75, where Legoland used to be Ukigawa tomatoes. Okay, now the Ukigawas, they were in internment camps during World War II, the Japanese family. They came down to Carlsbad, bought this land, and invested in tomatoes. So the ranunculus fields and all that, that's all Ukigawa land originally. They still have the Ukigawa strawberry fields there. So in Carlsbad in 75, it was surfers, jocks, and Chicanos. And I did great with Chicanos because some of those guys surfed, like Joe Chavez, Tony Mata, like we all, that's the old Carlsbad barrio between the railroad tracks and I-5, between Carlsbad Village Drive and Tamarack. That was the barrio. And we all did really well together. So we all knew that if you were a Chicano or anybody, a surfer, you'd get a job at Ukigawa Tomato House. So we had hitchhiked from Tamarack over Cannon Road, going to Palmer Airport Road, And we would get out there in the morning, and Junior Ukiah come out, and he'd look at all these guys, Chicanos, illegals, surfers, whatever, because all the surfers got jobs out there in the tomato packing house. So my first job, like, it took a few weeks.
Yeah.
I'm 14.
Wow.
Who hires a 14-year-old? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
But he's like, you. And so I separated green and red tomatoes on a conveyor belt for 8 hours.
Oh.
I was the only white guy on it. It was all these Latina moms and grandmothers, abuelas, and they're just like looking at me, and I'm like,
Oh, I love it.
because Joey Brown's going to the U.S. Championships.
14 years old, dude.
Joey Brown's going to the U.S. Championships because I'm going to be a pro surfer.
Yeah.
I'm going to be king of the pipe, and this is the next thing in that journey. Green, red, rojo verde, rojo verde.
Right.
It's not that hard. It's my first job. I saved up the money, and I went to Texas, made the finals,
Unreal.
came back with a trophy that said 4th place, U.S. Championships.
Wow.
So I'm like, hey, let's go get sponsorship, Mom. Mom and I get in the car. We drive down PCH from Carlsbad. Offshore says, we don't have any money. Most of our shops don't. Barbie's like, we believe in you, Joe Brand, but we don't have any money. So we go down south, Lucadia, Pure Fun surfboards, Sunset surfboards, Instant Use surfboards, Hanson. Everyone's like, yeah, it's kind of cool, but no. So we get all the way to Hanson. No. Mom's like, what do we do, Joe? I'm like, let's go to Orange County. We go to San Clemente. Well, we walk into Natural Design Surfboards. Midget Smith had been at the U.S. Championships. My board had broken. I borrowed a board from one of his team riders. He's like, I'll sponsor you, Joe Buran. And Midget Smith became like a big brother to me, shaped my whole career.
Wow.
That's how I met Bertelman and Dan Kilo and all those guys, because Midget Smith became the licensee for Town and Country.
Wow.
And so all of a sudden I'm hanging out with Larry Bertelman, Dan Kilo, when Hawaiians were kings of everything.
Wow.
And that's how it happened. Midget Smith became my big brother. He said, I'll make a board for you. He made me my first free board. And the photo of that board is actually in the book, in the family photo.
Very cool.
I'll send you the photo. But this photo right here, this is Carlsbad, 1975. And that's the board, Midget Smith, first board he made me.
Wow, man. What a classic shot.
Look at my brother's all hippie.
Oh, I love it.
My brother was a full leftover hippie. Look at my dad.
Dude.
Dad's
The horse in there. I mean, this is
That's
great.
Carlsbad. That horse was right off in Carlsbad Village Drive.
Wow.
Those are all condos.
What size board is that?
It's like 6'3".
Okay.
6'3".
Yeah.
And, look at Mom with her beehive hairdo.
Oh,
My
I
dad had
love
just
it.
gotten out of the Corps at that time,
I love
so his
it.
hair was a little longer.
Okay. Dude.
Brady Bunch, man.
Classic.
Parker's family.
The greenhouse.
My dad was so good. My dad became a botanist and stuff,
Oh, I love it.
So anyways, there it is. That's the board. And that became my first sponsor. And over the next 2 years, David Barr and I became the two best surfers in California, hands down, not even close. We started winning everything. The Pro Tour was born in 1976. So we're the two best junior surfers in America right when the ISP World Tour began. And by the time we were 17, there it was right in front of us, the dream.
Unreal. So I just want to rewind just a sec, just to like what, people who are like, I mean, it's obviously like Joey Brand has this drive and focus and just hunger, like just to move forward. And it's like, it's wild that, you're swimming and all of that comes out in this training of swimming. And then when you're dropped in the water, all of a sudden, like you can figure, there's this opportunity, this playground, to explore. But from whitewater to the face of that green wave, like you got to explain, like, what is it about surfing? 'Cause, okay, first it's like, I would say it's as complicated as golf, if not more. It's like seven or 10 things have to happen all at the same time.
I compare surfing to golf all the time. So I'm with you.
And so maybe some of the difficulty, but what is the drive to push through that difficulty in order for the stars to align and you catch that wave? Like the salt or the sun and the just like, what is it try and explain that feeling, to somebody that.
Well, first of all, this stoke,
Yeah.
riding a wave. There's a reason the Beach Boys song was #1, Catch a Wave, and you're sitting on top of the world.
Yes.
There is nothing in the human experience to compare to when you actually catch a green face wave, like the old goofy Disney cartoon, and you start riding to the beach. There is nothing like it.
Yeah, what is it? What's
There's something about the nature and human. Some men conquer animals and they went hunting in Africa in the early 1900s, like Teddy Roosevelt, right? Sure. Some men discovered the North Pole or the South Pole, like Perry and these guys. Yeah. Bird, whatever, But some men, they chase 100-foot waves even now for that adrenaline. But there's something about riding a wave. And it's interesting because when you think like, you're talking about your daughter catching a whitewater wave, like I showed you the post of Clementine, her, catching a wave on her own. I said, there's no going back, because once you catch a wave on your own, it's a brave new world out there. And there's just such a stoke and a thrill, even like when you're just, because when we lived in Virginia, in Quantico, we'd go to South Carolina and Florida to visit relatives. I would get those styrofoams, like the styrofoam cooler surfboards, and I'd ride whitewater waves. And I just loved it. The rush of even just bodyboarding is amazing. But when you actually stand up and you're riding a wave, there's just a adrenaline rush and a feeling. That's why it's called stoke. And stoke belongs to surfing. It doesn't belong to anything else. Like, bro, dude, stoke, that didn't come from playing golf. Okay, golf's insane. It came from surfing. It's its own word. It's like agape describes the cross. There's no other word in the world, in the universe of men's languages, to describe the selfless love of Christ on the cross. Agape is that word.
Yes.
An old Greek word, antiquated, used by the New Testament writers, and it's only associated with Jesus on the cross. Every other use of agape goes to that identity. So too with surfing. Stoke belongs to surfing, and that word belongs to the identity of the feeling you get when you catch a wave, even whitewater. But when you actually catch a green face wave, and then when you figure things out, you can ride a point break, a beach break, figure out how to get a wave in a crowded surf spot when the waves are really good. All the challenges, it is like golf. Is this links golf, like, in England or Scotland? Or is this like the Masters, really clean, shorter par threes, par fours, these big par fives, like a US Open that are difficult? Like every surf spot has its own challenges.
Right.
And reef.
So it's alive, it's different every time.
Every wave is different, unless they're wave pools, and even those are different. But they're unique, and the challenge is like a golfer going to a golf course, like it's a whole new surf spot. How do we read the lineup? What tide is the best tide? Is it low going in, high going low? What swell direction, west, northwest? What angle? Because now with surf line, all this stuff, you know, like, hey, this is, when the point in Newport's good once or twice every few years, it's because it's a certain angle from a southern hemisphere, either a deep southern hemisphere storm or a hurricane, but it doesn't break all the time. It's a certain angle that creates this incredible wave, and everyone knows it. So every great surfer on the West Coast is there for the 2 days. It's good. So that's how it works. There's a science to it, where this break, these conditions, this tide, this wind, and in surfing, what makes perfect conditions in surfing is to be at the right spot for the right swell, at the right tide, with the right wind, and the least amount of people out. And so that's what a surfer is really working toward. When you're working the system, you're driving up and down the coast, like, hey, Black's is going to be really good. It's a northwest swell. Is not as good as on a south swell, because La Jolla Cove blocks it, right? So but lowers is always good on a south swell, but not as good on a north swell. Lowers is not a world-class wave on a north swell. So these are the things that go into it.
Right.
But stoke belongs to surfing because there's nothing like it. And of course, the ultimate stoke is to be inside the barrel of the wave and get spit out of the cannon. And that's Jerry Lopez, and that's Pipeline, which brings us back to what my whole life was about.
So you're at this goal, you're winning competitions, Texas went off, you're getting sponsors, you and DB start winning everything. Right. You guys are on your way, and you're 16, 17?
Yes, and DB is important because so often when you're really successful, there's usually someone right there with you pushing you. For example, Caroline Marks won the gold medal in Chopu for the Paris Olympics. And then Katie Simmers won the world title a few weeks later, beating Caroline Marks at lowers. I coached both of them. And I remember a training years ago when Caroline Marks went on the world tour when she was 15. She qualified for the world tour. Unprecedented, it was incredible. She came to a training we were doing in Oceanside, and Katie Simmers was like 12 at the time. And we knew Katie Simmers was like just we never seen one like her. And we knew she was that good. And they were doing a practice heat in a crowded day. And Caroline would always beat everybody, the best girls in America in practice heats. It's sparring. It's like sparring. It's just, it's like, hey, you're going to spar with Muhammad Ali, you're Joe Foreman or whatever, like George Foreman, like that kind of a thing. And Katie dropped a couple nines on her. And Caroline Marks was so upset she came in, so I got to go somewhere, and she left. I was like, oh, that was interesting. Well, Caroline Marks has had Katie coming after her for 5 years now in America, her own territory. Like Kern came after me. And I feel like Katie Simmers drove Caroline Marks to win the world title last year and to win the gold medal this year.
Wow.
And then Katie Simmers flipped the script and beat Caroline Marks to win the world title this year.
Whoa.
You need David Barr.
Yeah.
You need Tom Curran.
I see.
You need Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark. They need each other. Caitlin Clark needs Angel Reese.
I see.
You see?
Yeah.
Because Angel was so in the mix for Rookie of the Year with WNBA, and it's good for basketball, women's basketball. You need Bird needs Magic, Magic needs Bird.
Yes.
You need these things, right? It makes you better. And when you're tight, so like if you're two golfers and you push each other that way, like it works well. I think like Sam Burns and Scheffler are really good friends, right? So think how much those guys pushed each other.
Right.
So David made me better because I didn't want to lose to David.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to lose to me.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of good surfers that were all-time top pros. Willie Morris, Bud Lamas, a lot of good surfers came from that era. But me and David were like, hey, lead forward, get out of the way. So it was very advantageous for me to have David Barr in my life. But what happened with David Barr, his mom got cancer.
Oh.
So right when we're both making our move toward being pro surfers, his mom's got a terminal illness. And there's this very important story. It's in the book. Because I always blamed everything on David Barr with my mom, and he blamed everything on me with his mom. They're both military moms because his dad had been military as well. Because a lot of Carlsbad was, military that stayed after they got out of Pendleton. And I remember going to see David's mom, and again, I've got a Catholic background. I'd go to, at this time at 16, I'd go to like Christmas and Easter. I didn't go to catechism or anything like that. Once my mom said, you don't have to go to church, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna, because surfing's my church. But I'll still go for Easter, midnight mass, and it's kind of cool, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm like a nominal Catholic at this time.
Right.
So I'm at David Barr's house, and his mom's there on her deathbed. Now I've seen this scene, and you as a pastor have seen this scene many times, but at this time I'd never seen anything like this. And that was David Barr's mom. And I always remember she had a Bible. So I'm in the room over here on the left, and the Bible is on the coffee table to the right, or like the nightstand table. And I'll never forget the last thing David Barr's mom said to me. She said, I'm praying for you, Joe Buran.
Wow.
Yeah, and because she always gave me the eye, like, what are you up to, Joe Buran? But she's like, I'm praying for you, Joe Buran. And she had peace. I always remember it. I never saw her again, and she died.
Wow.
And within a year, I was on the pro tour. It took David 3 years to catch up to me on tour because it was long, arduous. And David was young. He was 17, had a younger brother. Paul was a world-class pro surfer. Paul was like 13 when his mom's, you watch someone die of a terminal illness, it's brutal.
Yeah.
Death takes no prisoners, it doesn't negotiate. Like, hey, could we do this next year? Could we die on a Wednesday next week, not Friday, or not on Christmas? I had a friend in our church, her brother died on Christmas Day this year. And he was like, can we reschedule that? Like for like January 5th? Death doesn't work that way. And so for me, there was a raw reality with David Barr's mom. And it's just where the script changes a little bit because that profoundly affected him and what he could do with his career at that time. He wasn't quite as driven as I was. He didn't have the same drive I had, but he certainly had the same talent. A lot of people felt David Barr was a better surfer. I was a better competitor. But David was competitive, and we were 1 and 2. Usually me 1, him 2, but he could beat me, and hardly anyone else ever beat us during that time. So we were clearly, as pro surfing was coming up, and California was way behind Australia, South Africa. California was way behind the world.
Really?
In pro surfing. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we were right there with like Japan and Brazil. We were way behind. The pro tour was Australia, South Africa, Hawaii.
Okay.
That was it. We weren't even close.
Wow.
So, for example, when I went on the tour in '78 and finished 27th in the world, that was the first Californian ever in the top 30. So that's how far behind we were. And it would have been me and Barr together at that time. But then he had to, he had all this stuff. He didn't quite have the same drive, the same benefits. And then he had the whole trial he was working with at home with his mom and all the fallout and the heartache from that. But I took off. So there's a part of my life that's really like the high school years and then gone. But here's a missing segment in this story. Because we would hitchhike, go to Black, Swami's and all this stuff. And then, once you get 16, 17, friends have cars. And so we would just cut school, whatever. And what happened in my life is my sophomore year, I had a kidney infection. I was in the base hospital for 2 weeks, acute nephritis. It's a random thing. But typical Joey Brand, when I got out of the hospital, I realized the school thought I was still in the hospital. And I devised this great scheme.
I love it.
That I could convince my parents I was going to school.
Yeah.
While the school thought I was in the hospital.
Oh, wow.
And I pulled this off for 7 weeks.
Oh.
For 7 weeks, I did not go to school. And I surfed every day. I had the books. I'd come home with the books. Joe, how was school? That was great. Yeah, it was great. And but you had school report cards after 9 weeks. And so I knew it was, You know, like, see, I wouldn't think about the consequences. I just stay in the moment. Like, we're going to ride this wave as long as the soul is pumping.
Right.
So I realized this is all going to go down, and this is going to blow up. And so this is what you could do in this time in 1976. So this is now Elton John, Philadelphia Freedom.
Okay.
Bicentennial.
Yep.
So it's bicentennial. This is 76.
Yeah.
This is America in 1976.
Right.
If you can try and imagine it. My dad had college bonds for all of us in our name, like $50 college bonds. These are really big in the 70s. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to cash my bonds because Pipeline is my college. I'm going to steal my money. I'm going to run away to Hawaii before this all goes down. Ken Kibo tells it in the intro.
What?
Yeah, he was accessory to it. So in 1976, as a 16-year-old, you could go down to the bank in Carlsbad on Elm Street, now Carlsbad Village Drive, cash your college bonds with no ID.
Unreal.
Get the cash, have your friend drive you to San Diego Airport and get on a PSA flight to Honolulu.
No.
With no ID and one surfboard, and get off at Honolulu Airport with like $17 and take the bus for 25 cents, the Circle bus around the island.
Oh my gosh.
And get to the North Shore.
No.
Yes.
Unreal.
That's what I did.
Oh my.
That's what I did. That's what I did. And thanks to Midget Smith, we'd been there that summer for the U.S. Championships in 76, the year after Texas. We met his friend who lived by Pipeline, Nick Benesca.
Okay.
And I knew I could just show up at Nick Benesca's house and surf Pipeline.
So you kind of had an idea already of what, yeah.
I took the bus.
You're like, I'm going back.
I got on the wrong bus and went to the east side first, Kahuku, Kailua, but eventually got to the North Shore. I got off at Nick Benesca's house. I don't even know what he said to my mom or whatever, but I started out with $17. I had my 6'2" Stinger, single fin Stinger, Larry Bertleman model, and I was right there at Off the Wall. And what I remember the most is Nick Benesca always played Bob Marley. Any Bob Marley makes me like, running away to Hawaii. Yeah. But I surfed Pipeline, and Pipe got one day. Pipe is like October, right? School year, right? September, October, early season North Shore. One day Pipe broke, and it was real Pipeline. And I got the best. I got a barrel unlike any barrel ever in my life at Black's or DMJ. Nothing. I got a pipe barrel, got spit out. I was ecstatic. The next wave, the worst wipe out of my life. Just detonated Pipeline, held under, donuts and everything. I tell everyone, I remember that night laying in bed on the couch at Nick Benesca's like this.
Oh.
You talk about stoked. Best wave, worst wipeout, back to back.
Wait, so you don't just show up at Pipeline and like paddle out. Like you can't just do that.
I did that.
But like you have to like I mean, so where's the training? Like what, it's just all the reps? Like where was your first barrel? Like where was your first big barrel? Like how did you know that you could even like I would never paddle out a pipe. I just wouldn't do that.
Well,
I'm like,
David Barr and I cut school all the time, and we went to Blacks. I surfed big Blacks. Big Blacks is scary. You ever surf Blacks when it's like 12, 15
no,
feet?
I haven't.
It's terrifying.
Really?
Yeah, it's open ocean.
Okay.
I surfed Big Rock, which is like Pipeline. I mean, I had California training.
So you felt like because you got some Blacks barrels, like you were like, I think I can do Pipeline. I know I can do Pipeline.
Listen, I'm a goofy foot.
Yeah.
I'm a barrel rider.
Yeah.
And I sit in theaters and watch Jerry Lopez get barrel the Pipeline. I'm going to Hawaii.
Yeah.
I'm going there to sit. I'm going there to get barrel the Pipeline.
I know.
Pipeline's breaking. I'm paddling out. I'm above average swimmer for sure. My whole career, I was above average swimmer to all my peers because I had that background. But I didn't come here to like ride the bus for a quarter. I came here to get barrel the Pipeline. Yeah. And I got barreled.
So but then, but again, like you don't just paddle out a Pipeline. Like,
well, I did win the Pipe Masters a few years later.
I did. So it's like, you're like, I'm going to do this. I mean, obviously you have some visuals, right? There's like vision, Jerry Lopez, visuals being implanted in your mind. Like you can almost see, like you can feel the wave, like in your mind's eye. You're like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take off like this. I'm going to land like this. I'm going to, like
you're saying some really, you've got really good questions.
Yeah.
I just want to tell you that as an interviewer, you're asking me really good questions that people don't normally ask me, but they're good ones because I have the answers for it.
Yeah.
And I have insight that I don't normally get to share.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm going to reference Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
If you ever saw Magic Johnson play basketball, he felt the court.
Mm-hmm.
His no looks to James Worthy and, Nixon and those guys, Abdul-Jabbar, he's still considered the best point guard of all time. His feel for the court. And I can't explain it, but I was a world-class level surfer on the pro tour, right? Top 30, top 20, top 10. But at Pipeline, I was elite. Finals, champion. And I just can't explain it other than divine sovereignty and the grace of God. Because even going back when I ran away to Hawaii that year in 76, I could feel pipe. I could, in every sensory in my body and the billions of things in my brain working, I felt it. And I often felt like I was cheating because there's a really good example. A couple years later, by the time I was surfing in Pipe Masters, really good World Tour surfers would go for the wrong wave. I'm like, how do they not know? It's like a putter not reading the green. Like, how can you not see this breaks left? Like, I mean, this is like, I just lined it up. This is going to break. And I would see things and feel things that other surfers didn't that were elite, including really good barrel riders, goofy foot barrel riders. So, for example, Terry Richardson, Jim Banks, Australians, top 10 in the world, goofy foots. Bud Lamas, great. They just didn't have it. They didn't have the same thing I had. I felt like I had the exam scores before I took the SAT. Like it seemed almost unfair. And I'd be competing the Pipe Masters, and I could just see even guys like Tom Carroll. Like, that is definitely the wrong wave. I would sense and feel the right wave. And to understand this, Pipeline, even though it's close to the beach, you feel it. It's spectacular to watch an event there. There's a deeper peak that where you really get deep barrels. It's the deep A-frame peak, the gnarly guys, Bruce Irons, Kelly, that's where they go. And the heavy pipe heavyweights like Mason Ho, they sit way out the back there. They're looking for that one wave, the best wave. But there's a shifting peak that shifts across, almost like Salt Creek. It's here and then it shifts over here. And it's a shifting peak. That was my favorite peak because I like to stay busy. I'm like a running back. I want touches. I want to touch the ball 20 times this game. So I get busy. I'm not the guy that sits. You know, I get busy and I make things happen. So I would focus on this peak. I could shift to this peak, but anything shifted from them, it'd come right to me over here. That was always my strategy at Pipeline, free surfing and competing. But we talked about west swells, northwest swells, and different directions. It's the same thing in Oahu on the North Shore as it is with San Diego County. The directions mean different breaks. Laniakea Kea is really good on a north swell. It's not good on a west swell. Sunset's good on a northwest, but a straight west, not as good. They're all different. Pipeline is primarily a west swell break is the perfect direction, but it can hold the northwest, which crosses it up. So we see a combo swell, and it means it sometimes doubles up. It's more dangerous. So for someone that doesn't surf, I would just say it becomes a more dangerous wave with different directions. So that's where it's tricky. It's like links golf in the British Open with the wind blowing. It's tricky. Like, there's more to it. And that's when I excelled because somehow I could always identify the golden nugget wave in the midst of 40 bad waves. You could have 50 waves come through a Pipeline, and 2 are the ones you want. The day I won the Pipe Masters, that kind of day, it was right down my alley. It was tailor-made for Joey Brand. I didn't win with a 12 under score if it was golf. I won with 2 under and no one else was under par. It was pars and a couple birdies.
Wow.
It was clean. Keep it clean. Ball control. Don't turn the ball over. It was clean. And that's the kind of pipe I excelled in. Because when you're in the water at Pipeline, you're looking at the ocean. Outside Pupa Cay is about a mile this way, way out in the ocean. The big northwest sets break out there on an outer reef, about a minute and 15 seconds before they get to Pipeline.
Oh, wow.
So you'll see that. That's your indicator. It's coming here.
Oh, wow.
Third reef, second reef pipe.
Wow.
Those are washouts. There's never going to be a good wave in that set.
Right.
They might look good, but they're going to close out at the end. You won't come out of the cannon. You won't get spit out.
Okay.
You might be safe in the wipeout, but you're not coming out. And so a Pipeline, it's a 2 or a 10. Either you make it or you don't. It's go big and make it or nothing. But the west sets are the ones that are the good ones. So you have to identify that one west pulse that's 12 to 15 feet in the midst of 30 waves that are 18 to 20 feet out of the northwest.
Right.
And that's where you talk about where does it come from? God blessed me with it. There's no other explanation for it.
It's a trip.
There's no other explanation. He gave me the code for surfing Pipeline. There's just no other explanation.
It's a trip when you reflect back on your story, though. All the surf magazines and stealing from the library and reading all the articles and obsessing over the TV Jerry Lopez. It's like, I want that. I want, and like your brain is like etching like like you're seeing all the and you're absorbing it.
Data.
Yeah, it's like Matrix download, and then it's like you show up and it's like you've been living it already for 10 years or whatever. Like you know what I mean? And you just show up. It's like,
you're a great interviewer because you get it. You know, no one's. This is a great interview because you get it. Because I hadn't even thought about all that processing, but I woke up. My 4 walls was Jerry Lopez and Roy Russell.
Yeah.
I went to La Palma Theater, and I would watch the same movie 3 days in a row. Jerry Lopez, in and out of the barrel, the ones he made, the nuances, and it was subconsciously there. I can't say like consciously, I'm training to surf pipeline.
Sure.
It was here.
Yeah.
And it was here.
Yeah.
And it all, but I have to say, like, to the most ardent atheist agnostic, I have to tell you, there's an X factor that has a divine force in it. Because Matt Warshaw, who wrote Encyclopedia of Surfing, brilliant. He's the foremost writer in surfing. When he described my career, he said, Joey Buran was a hyperactive surfer, average pro surfer, above average, had a lot of success. He goes, but in big left barrels, he was elite. And he won the Pipe Masters, found God, moved inland, and who could blame him? So he basically said, Joey Buran did what no one ever does. And then he started surfing God, and why wouldn't you? Because no one, there's 50 Pipe Masters, and Kelly Slater won 7 of them. It's just not that many. It's like the Heisman. Not many guys have it.
Totally.
And only Rob Machado from California, and he's Hall of Fame elite, 2 U.S. Opens, top 5 in the world. It's the hardest thing to do. It's the most prestigious thing to do is to win the Pipe Masters. And Matt Warshaw said, I think I'd be a priest or a pastor too if I won the Pipe Masters. Yeah. So that's, and I was on the bus with
divine.
I was on the bus with Katie Simmers in Japan in 2018 at the World Games when she was 12. And I said to Katie Simmers, I go, hey, if you had a choice to be the world champion and never surf again, or never be anything and just keep surfing, which would you choose? She goes, Katie's like, I just love that fun. I'd choose surfing. I just want to surf. I'm like, well, if you gave Joey Buran that choice, I definitely would have leveraged the whole house, all chips in for one Pipe Master. If the angel Gabriel showed up at my house on December 16th, 1984 and said, Joey, here's the deal. We'll give you the pipe tomorrow, but you'll never surf again. You'll pastor in Vermont, work minimum wage. You'll go here, you'll go there. You'll buy gas with pennies. You'll do whatever we tell you to do. You'll serve people. You'll bury your son. You'll do all these things. What is? I'll be like, I'll take that Pipe Master.
Wow.
I'll take that and whatever comes after it. I'm just that way. I would prefer I would choose one day of greatness.
Yes.
To know what it feels like to be great, the greatest in the world, just one day and never surf again. Because as stoked as I was for surfing, I was most stoked for the barrel, most stoked for pipeline, and just to have that moment, that I would take that. I would leverage everything. We talk about selling silver and selling cars to buy a house in Southern California, like borrowing money from the relatives. I would leverage everything for that moment. And the Lord knew that too.
So let's go to that day. So you roll up on the beach. You have you slept the night before? Are you got your board ready? It's all waxed up. You got your suit ready to go.
Well, it's funny because it was a very unusual year that year.
Okay.
Because usually when I was on the pro tour, I'd go to Hawaii in October, stay at the Kuilima Resort in a condo. All my boards are there. I have a car. That year, I'd announced before the Pipeline Masters I was retiring. I was going to start the PSA U.S. Pro Surfing Tour. And so I'd announced I'm retiring. I've not yet won the contest of my dreams. I've made 2 finals. I've been close. But I'd announced I'm retiring, and so this is it. So in my mind, as I'm getting ready as an entrepreneur, start a whole new business, a U.S. Pro Surfing Tour, I'm thinking, this is probably it. I got to win this pipeline. This is the year I got to win this pipeline. And it's still there. It's still fire in my heart to win the Pipe Masters. But now I'm 24. It's different than being 14, right? Like, you learn a lot. By the time you're mid-20s, men learn a lot, or they should. So I'm just in transition, but I want to steal the fruit like the AAU finals in San Diego in 73 with swimming. I need to win the Pipe Masters. My whole career is leveraged on winning the Pipe Masters. It'd be great to say I made 2 Pipe finals. That's cool. I was a California kid. That's cool. But no, Joey Buran's going to win the Pipe Masters. But I didn't go over early. I went over late. I went in December. So 6 weeks later than I normally would. And something I did that year I don't normally do, I stayed with my friend Steve Primo over on the east side of the island by the Polynesian Cultural Center, which was not something I'd normally do. So everything was different. Different place, different setup, different look, It's like, that's how it was. And that's how I approach it. And then what happened is we went through the entire waiting period. As you know, pro surfing contests have a waiting period. They want the best waves possible.
Sure.
So it's usually like December 9th to December 16th. This is the waiting period. But pipeline never broke. It was a bad winter. You get some bad winners. So they never held the Pipe Masters, and they actually held the World Cup. They flipped the schedule, and they held it. I was in the World Cup, and I lost first heat, and it didn't matter. I wasn't there to win the World Cup. I was there to win the Pipe Masters. Different kind of wave, different kind of surfing. If you understand, just completely, it's like being a track and field athlete, and it's the long jump, and I'm the 100-yard dash, right? I do the long jump, but I'm the 100-yard dash.
Sure.
I'm here for the 100-yard dash,
Right.
not the long jump.
Right.
Trying to give you an idea like how my mind was. So we went through, it never happened the entire waiting period. They never had the pipe masters. It's like, wow. Then they had a storm coming from Japan that creates from the west, the pipeline kind of swell. And we knew the whole all in one day. So a lot of pro surfing in the first 15 years went through different phases. Like some years they had 3 days of pipe masters because they had more guys in it. Some years they had less after a couple guys almost got killed. Just different phases of the sport as it's developing and evolving, right? So this year it's 24 surfers, so it's going to be just one day. So they just need one bombing day.
Yeah.
So after they went through the waiting period, they ran the World Cup, turns around on December 16th. Everyone knows there's a macro swell coming. It might be too big, but they're going to hold it. So I went to bed knowing it's going to be really big. It favors me. It's going to be northwest, all those washouts from Pupukea. The conditions favor me. It's like British Open, strong wind. This is links golf, strong wind. These conditions are going to favor me because I surf these conditions all the time. A lot of Hawaiian locals don't surf these kind of days because they don't have to. They can paddle on the best day, get all the waves they want.
Totally.
The better it is, the less waves I get, right?
Got it.
The pipeline, you know,
I
the
see.
crowd.
Yeah.
But these are the kind of days I get my waves.
Got it.
And they're more dangerous.
Wow.
Pipeline was extremely dangerous the day I won it. The end of the end of the century, Surfing Magazine called the 1984 Pipeline Masters one of the 5 most profound events in the history of pro surfing.
Really?
Yes. Because of the size and the conditions, it was terror.
Wow.
Sheer terror.
Wow.
So I didn't just win the Pipe Masters on a good 6 foot, 8 foot day.
Yeah.
One of the top 5 all time in the history of the sport.
Unreal.
Yeah. So just give you a feel for what that day was like.
Yeah. You hear the beach pounding already?
Oh, it was crazy. So I had the dream. It's in the book, but I dreamed that night at Steve Primo's house that I won the Pipe Masters. I'd never dreamed I'd won the Pipe Masters. Yeah. So again, it's like the angel Gabriel showing up.
You dreamed it.
I dreamed I won the Pipe Masters, and it was so real.
Oh my God.
And when I woke up, I almost started crying because I thought it was real.
Wow.
Like the dream was so real.
Yeah.
And when I woke up, it was just a dream. In my dream, I did it. I won the Pipe.
Yeah.
And then I woke up, it was like, it was like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And I was so bummed. But in the dream, there's 2 things that were in that dream that were profound. First of all, I was paddling out and I saw Derek Ho in a barrel coming right at me, the great Derek Ho. And then I saw myself on the cover of the Honolulu Advertiser dropping in at Pipeline saying, Buran wins the Pipeline.
Crazy, man.
It's crazy. So what happened is that morning I get up, it's dark. So I drive about a 25-minute drive from the east side. I get the pipeline, it's in the dark. I got a Walkman. And by this time I was exposed to evangelical Christianity. I'd gone to like an EV Free Church. I'd heard about Calvary Chapel. Tom Kern won the Caton for Calvary Chapel, so I thought maybe I should write for Calvary Chapel, you know that kind of stuff. So I was aware of Bible, like what you used to say, evangelicalism, like Bible believing. And this is the beginning of Christian rock. And Petra was a Christian band in the 80s.
Okay.
And somehow I had a cassette tape for Petra.
Yeah.
And there's a song called Occupied. Occupied, standing strong, lifting up to God's holy standards. And I just figured in my own little religious, superstitious way, it's probably good juju to be listening to Petra that day. So I've got the Walkman on, driving in the pipeline, listening to Petra.
Oh, I love it.
Walkman. So I got down on the beach, and I was dancing in the sand.
Yes.
So Sean Thompson, the world champion, world famous motivational speaker, is like, Buran, because he, like Duran, he always called me Buran, with a South African accent. Buran, dancing on the beach, and it's just, now it's Joey, instead of Joe Buran, being Joe Buran, it was Joey, because once the magazines called me Joey, everyone called me Joey.
I see.
So I have 2 lives, Joe Buran, and then I'm Joey Buran.
Got it,
right?
Okay.
So he called me Buran, but he still talks about, like, he sees like, man, you were just dancing on the sanded pipeline in the dark.
Wow.
And then Randy Rick, who ran the Triple Crown for years, who started the IPS tour, he's like, when we interviewed him for my movie in 2004, he's like, Joey, man, I'll never forget you dancing on the sand in the dark. And I was dancing to heavy metal Petra.
I love it.
Christian music.
I love it.
And that's how the day started. And it was pumping, but it was so big, no one even paddled out. It was all over the second and third reefs, washing out. It was terrifying. And then they said at 7 o'clock it was on. So I went back to the house, got my boards, came back, and now everyone's showing up. Because back then, when the pipeline or the Duke, any event on the North Shore was happening, people came from all over the island. Traffic jams. There's no internet. You were there and you saw something happen or you missed it.
Wow.
That's how it was.
Right.
So everyone was there, and I came back about 7:30. The beach is filling in. Plus, everyone knew the surf was big. TV crews were there. And I put my boards in front of the Lopez house, which is now the Wickham house, the old lightning bolt house. And it was so big, and a couple guys had paddled out. And when I paddled out, something happened that never happened to me before, ever in the Pipe Masters. I paddled out on my 7.3. So to understand, the longer the board is more for bigger waves, right? So the bigger your board gets, it's obviously bigger surf.
Right.
So my biggest board, it's like a driver, or a 9-iron, whatever. So my driver was a 710 single fin, and I was still riding single fins. So by this time, the thruster, the 3-fin thruster came through in 81 when Simon Anderson won pipe on a thruster.
Okay.
Now, I rode thrusters on my shortboards, but I had these trusty single fins that were made in 80. These are fantastic North Shore guns, as we call them. Big wave boards are called guns.
Right.
And I knew these boards. I surfed Waimea, Big Pipe, Big Sunset. I knew these boards. Like I knew the personality, because boards have personalities, especially big wave boards. You got to trust them.
Right.
When you're on a 20-foot wave, you have to trust your equipment.
Right.
And even though they're single fins, I trusted my 7.3 and my 7.10. So I paddled out on my 7.3, which is normally, that's your normal pipe board. 7.10 is like second reef, super heavy stuff, Waimea. I paddled on my 7.3, I didn't catch one wave. That's not a confidence booster, by the way, for a contest. You don't catch one wave. That's like, that's not a confidence booster. But, everyone was trepid and tentative in the lineup. And, there it is. It's Roy Russell, Jay Lopez, Larry Berleman, Mark Richards, Martin Potter. These are the best servers in the world, 24 of them. And no one was really excelling in the warm-up, because a lot of times you can excel in the warm-up, like Kelly Slater gets a couple of heavy barrels before the contest starts. Like, dude, Kelly's going to win. John's going to win. Right. No one's stopping John today. Right. It's John. There's nothing like that day. Everyone's like, man, everyone's terrified.
Wow.
But
what was it? The wave was just so big.
It was so big, and there were so many bad waves. There were so many closeouts, and doubling up northwest. So it's like this detonation where they come together and explodes like 40 feet in the air. It's like a landmine. It'll blow up your vehicle. It'll break your bones.
So you're just like, everybody's just like, no way.
You can get killed.
Yeah.
Life flight helicopters arriving at Sunset Elementary School across the street is almost a tradition of Pipe Masters in the 70s. And you pull someone out, here comes the chopper, going to take them to the hospital in Honolulu.
When the water pulls back, is the reef completely exposed? Like when you fall and you get hit, is it 2 feet or 3 feet or
7 to 2, depending. Wow. But even so, if it's 7 feet, but you've got 20 tonnage power driving you right through the sitting water, it just drives you right through it, right into the reef. So it doesn't matter how deep it really is. If you're just in the wrong place and you're driven into the reef, you just want to make sure your feet first and not head first. And you're covering your head.
So warm up, nobody's going. There's just bombs going off.
But I come in like, man, I didn't catch a wave. Right. I'm like, well, I got to ride my 710. Right. The 9-iron is not going to work right here. I got to pull out the driver. Sink or swim. I got to go with my biggest board. And the reason you don't want to use your biggest board, because you have no more bigger boards, right? It's your last option. It's like the end of the world apocalypse option.
Got it.
This is so like I'm going right to the 710. This is it. I mean, this day is going to be won or lost on this 710.
Wow.
But one big advantage for me that day is there were 6 heats of 4, right? So that's 24 top to advance. One big advantage is I was in the 5th heat. So if you're the first heat, you're breaking the ice. You don't even know what to expect. Everyone's trepid. You just don't know. By the 5th heat, you got a feel for what's going on. How many good waves are in a heat, who's getting them, how are the judges scoring, what's the scoring scale, all like those kind of factors. So it was a big break to be in the 5th heat and see 4 heats. And I'll tell you what happened in the first 4 heats. Nothing profound. There wasn't one great ride. Guys were scared.
Wow.
Guys that are pipeline experts were scared.
Wow.
So I was like, wow, man, like, gosh, even Dane didn't get a barrel. Hans saying how scared he is. Guys are losing. They don't even care. Like this is an epic day, a memorable day that's still, well, because I won too, it's like surfing lore, especially for Californians. So my heat, I had Marvin Foster, the great local. We're good friends, and we were both that second peak kind of guys. Remember we talked about the deeper peak and the second peak? We like this peak. He's like me. He liked to be busy. But Sean Thompson, the world champion pipe master, he likes the deep peak. And John Dom, he's a pipe specialist. He likes the deep peak. But the waves were so big that day, so instead of being in about a 30 to 40 yard window where we're all sitting, it was more like a football field because it's third reef, second reef. There's water moving everywhere.
Wow.
Big set comes through. It's like a river coming through the lineup, tears it up. Then it settles down. You're looking for one clean west wave, and then it tears up again. It's not like there's a bunch of really good waves, and it's not like there's a neon sign saying this is the wave you want.
Right.
It's just a free for all out there. It's the Roman Colosseum.
Wow.
And the Lions is pipeline itself, and you're out there with other gladiators, and everyone's looking at each other like, oh my goodness, right? So the reason they said we were pipe gladiators, there's a reason for it, right? So what was profound about this heat is I paddle out with Marvin. Usually you can paddle right out of pipeline because there's a channel. So you start here and you get about 30 feet, 40 feet out, and then you kind of slip to the side. That means there's deeper water between reefs, and it allows you to get out. But when pipe's really big, second reef, third reef, it will wash through that channel. So it's more dangerous and hard to get out. So Marvin and I paddled at the same time, and we both made it. There's another thing that happened on that day that had never happened to me before. Because when you're in the Pipe Masters, you end up in the channel, so you're seeing the heat live. You're in the water. You're right there. I mean, you're watching John take off, and you're right there, like in my backyard. It's insane. It's the best view in the house.
Right.
But you're waiting. As soon as their heat's done, you move into position, and now it's your turn. Well, we were in the channel, and this massive, like 35-foot set on the second reef came through, and it was gigantic white water, like an avalanche. And usually the white water from second, third reef, it hits the deeper water of the channel and it backs off. So it's like a big swell. It's white water.
Right.
That white water rolled right through.
No.
It hit like a Mack truck, a freight train. 15 feet of white water. Can't even explain the power of it. And we're in the deep water where you should be safe. It's just closing out the channel. And me and Marvin looked at each other. We threw our boards.
No.
We had leashes on.
Yeah.
But if our leashes break, oh my goodness.
Right.
Time to go in.
Right.
Get your board, come back out. You're done. Like
Right.
and I remember just going like, oh God, please let my leash hold. It's like, and the leash of course connects your ankle to the board. It's stretching out. Mine held, his held. We both looked just like, well, I was so nervous, but after that happened, I wasn't that nervous. I was like, oh my goodness, snap out of it. Like you talk about a wake up call.
Right.
Like, oh my goodness, that's a wake up call.
Right.
So then our heat started, and this is kind of the summary of the day. When the heat started, Marvin and I were over on what is more the east side peak, the shifting peak. And then Sean and John were deep. And the first kind of seemingly good wave that came shifted toward us. I caught it. I pulled in this giant barrel. I was on the foam ball. When you're on the foam ball, you're as deep as you can be in the barrel. That's what's going to spit you out. And I was on the foam ball, and then the wave, it did close out. It looked good, but it had a little clipping in the end. But it kind of detonated, and I popped out the back because inside the barrel at pipeline is usually the best place to wipe out. You just pop right out the back. But it was the biggest, I mean, all your cars you drove in down here, they're all in there on top of each other. It's a London double decker.
Crazy, man.
I really swear. You know, like this, it's a massive barrel. And my board, that fin was like Jaws fin.
Yeah.
And it was holding. I was on the foam ball.
Yeah.
And I was like driving like a four-wheel driving ball. Like, and then boom, it blew me up. And I pop out the back. I said, oh, it's on. It's on. I live for the barrel.
Yeah.
Every La Paloma movie.
Yeah.
Every picture on the wall.
Yeah.
I was like, all the previous Pipe Masters, all the data you talked about, the billions of data pieces. I'm like, oh, it is on.
You just felt it just like, boom.
This is my dream.
Yeah.
This is my life. And I'm writing this script today, now. I never fell again. I won everything. I smoked everybody.
So you like your body just like electrified.
Have you ever seen? Have you ever seen? Because you said golf, and I'm telling you, have you ever seen someone just go loony at the Masters on the fourth day, shoot like a 62?
Totally.
Like just where like you just can't miss.
Right.
Tiger from 62 on the 13th. It's going.
Yeah. Right.
Like that. It was that kind of day.
Right.
I mean, I just could not miss. I had the cheat sheet. I had all the best waves. There weren't that many good waves that day. I got them all in my hand.
Wow.
I caught everything, every barrel, everything. It was my day.
And I mean, you're just glowing, right? You can't even believe it. You're just sitting there like, are you kidding me?
I was born for the day.
Unreal.
And I was created.
Wow.
In my mother's womb as one cell for that day and that moment.
Unreal.
My entire testimony.
Wow.
I've led thousands to Christ from the events of that day.
Unreal.
It was supernatural. It's like, like when the angel appears to like Samson's parents, or, the donkey's talking about, like, it's supernatural. When eternity comes over time, it's the superior dimension. So Gabriel's talking to Mary. The eternity overtakes time, space, and matter. It's supernatural. It's like the transfiguration, those types of things. It was like that in my life. I was like in another dimension. It was surreal. Everything about the day went my way, and it never looked back. Like, I just charged and and every critical play, every critical moment that had to go my way, because it's like golf. A lot more goes wrong than right. So if you limit your wrongs, you have a good chance.
Right.
It all went right.
You were like shocked it was almost too easy. Like, how in the world did this happen?
I was in it. It was like I was in a dream. Like, it wasn't like I was shocked. It was happening.
Yeah.
Like, this is happening now. Like, I am smoking these guys. It's happening now. So go now to the final, because I won that heat. Then I had to win another heat to get to the final. But now the final's 6 men. So you had 6 heats of 4, then 3 heats of 4, top 2 advance. But now you have 6 in the final. No priority. We have all this priority system now where you take your turns, like, after you, that kind of stuff. Man, it's like old school NBA. These guys are like Dennis Rodman throwing hooks down there.
Right.
Bill Lambier. These guys. I mean, you get these paddle battles. You're paddling for a wave that can kill you, and you got guys like throwing elbows as you're in a paddle battle, fighting for positioning. Like, this is the real deal right here.
Whoa.
This is gladiators, and this is the lion, and we're both fighting the lion.
Wow.
And so all these things are happening. It's all instinctive. If you've been overthinking any of this, it never happens this way. Like, split second. I had a paddle battle with Brian Buckley where this west set was coming from deep, and he's this deeper peak guy, and I'm coming across. I had inside position, and he's right on me. We're like 2 elite athletes, 2 of the best pipeline surfers in the world. I've got about less than a yard on him, and we're paddling the same cadence, almost like 2 swimmers in the 50-yard dash coming down the stretch.
Yeah.
And we're paddling like this. No cheap shots, because cheap guys throw a punch on a paddle. They'll punch you coming up on the paddle.
Wow.
Yeah. But it's clean. We're pipe guys. We're California guys.
Yeah.
It's clean. We're going. But I'm moving toward this 20-foot wave. I've got to hold inside. He's a capable foe. I've got to turn my board around, because I'm going toward Cayena Point. I'm facing kind of west-northwest. Well, more west. And I've got to turn back around toward the east to catch the wave. So I've got a 710. I've got my driver. I got to turn this thing around and make sure he doesn't come from behind me and steal my inside for priority, because inside is the positioning battle. So it's like a rebound. I got to hold in. I got to box out. And this is the biggest wave of the day I'm going to catch. This is the most terrifying wave. It's doubling up. It's a massive monster. And this is in the semifinals. This puts me in the final. And if he gets it, he's going to win this heat. This is it. Man, I held him off. I turned that board around. You can hear the whole beach screaming. It's thousands of people. I turned that board around. He's got to pull back for me. And now I've lost all my speed, because pipe's moving like a freight train. A regular takeoff in California becomes a late takeoff in Hawaii. So an early takeoff becomes regular, and a late takeoff in Hawaii at pipeline is you don't make it. You just get pitched. It throws you out like a catapult, 20 feet out and 20 feet and down to the reef.
Crazy.
Right? So this is already going to be a dangerous takeoff. And because I'm having to fight Buckley, this becomes a late takeoff. I turn that thing around on that single fin, 20 feet down the shaft, fin barely holding. I mean, this could end my day. This could end my career. Like, seriously, this is how guys get hurt. This is why the helicopters show up on Sunset Elementary to pick guys up in life flight. And it held. And I just pulled in the biggest, sickest barrel. The biggest, sickest barrel. And, when stuff like that happens, guys, guys like Buckley, you see him like a few years later, they're just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, dude,
unreal.
You train an 80-foot putt to win the Masters. People
Right. Yeah. It's just like, I got nothing to say.
I got nothing to say.
Unreal.
Yeah, it was unreal. And that Aki was my rival. He was in that heat, but he got second. And then the final, I won that heat, and then we went right back out for the final. So I didn't have time to think about it.
Wow.
This is an all-day event.
Right.
I got up in the dark dancing to Petra in the dark, and now it's like 4 in the afternoon.
Right.
4 world champions, 4 pipe masters in this final.
Crazy.
And this is it for me. And it
was in the finals?
It was Rabbit. He was a 78 world champion. He made 4 pipe finals. He's one of the best backside tube riders ever at Pipeline.
Wow.
Aki, who'd be a world champion in the pipe master the next year. Derek Ho, who'd be a world champion in pipe master in 2 years.
Wow.
Tom Carroll, who was the world champion and would be a 3-time pipe master in the next 5 years.
Wow.
This was the final.
Yeah.
These guys. Plus Max Medeiros from Kauai, who got third in that final and got third the next year. So those outer island guys were always gnarly. You just never knew what those guys would give you. They were gnarly. They were fearless. They were chargers. And Max Medeiros was in that final. So the thing about the final, though, it was crazy. It was super sunny, and the swell dropped a little bit. So it looked really inviting, like big inviting pipeline at the start of the final. And it was like bang, 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 bang. But here's the situation. It was top 4 waves in the final, 1 hour. 6 of the best in the world, 1 hour, top 4 waves. So Mark Akalupo probably got the best ride in the final. I got good rides. So it's like, maybe he got like a golf, he got like an eagle, but then you go bogey, bogey, you're right back at par, right? So he didn't have the backup. Because again, at Pipeline, so this is really important to understand how I won. At Pipeline, you need to make the barrel. If you pull into the barrel, you don't make it, it's a 1 or a 2.
Yeah.
Even if it's a smaller barrel and you make it, it's a 4 or 5. It's a chip shot field goal.
I see.
You can keep it in your score line.
I see.
And to get 4 good waves on that day, with those guys in the water and no priority system,
Right.
is almost impossible task.
Wow.
Because there's no priority. Everyone's back paddling each other.
Totally.
I mean, it's rabbit.
Right.
It's Carol. It's
Right.
hockey. It's
Right.
Derek Cole, man.
Right.
Like this is pickup basketball with Bird and Magic in the 80s.
Right.
Like this is just, and Jordan, this is just it.
Right.
And so, but because I'm like the running back guy, get busy, get busy, get busy, get busy, touches, like catch waves, create opportunities is how I always approach serving. Create opportunities. Don't overthink it. Create opportunities. And so I had a couple good waves. And then later on, I got a great wave. So now I got like no bogeys, clean scorecard, par. Ooh, there's the birdie. Everyone else is 1 over right now. No one else has 3 good waves. And then here's what happened. The first rain squall, there was 2 of them. The first rain squall was massive. So it came over the hills at Pipeline. So it went from happy feelings gone, sunny, now it's overcast. So the wind, instead of being more offshore, turned side offshore. Here comes a squall. And again, the big sets would tear up the lineup. It takes 5 to 10 minutes for the lineup to clean up for a better wave to come in.
Wow.
Right when the rain squall's coming, I'm on the inside. Those guys are too far at the back. Here comes a little chipper shifter, about an 8 to 10 foot face, right to me. None of those guys even in contention. This is a 4th wave I need. I catch this wave. That was it. Like that's it. There's the birdie on the 18th. I'm 2 under. These guys are all over.
Real.
I'm in the clubhouse, and now this rain squall's coming in. And it just destroys the lineup. I mean, first of all, it's just pelting. Like, you ever try, like it's just pelting rain in Carroll, and everyone's out there just getting pelted. It lasted for 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
It was over. I got the last good wave.
Oh, my gosh.
It was like,
It's like God shut it down.
I was like, dude, I just won the pipe. And we didn't have
That's great, but the cloud just roll. It's just like he just goes like this, and the whole thing changes.
So what's funny is we had computer scoring on the World Tour at that time. We'd just begun to have where they announced the scores. Because back in the day, you come in like, hey, you got second, they won, and you see the score sheets. But they didn't have computer scoring for this event. So it's kind of like old school WSA, old school IPS Tour. You had to kind of feel, like, what's it feel like? What's the gallery? Like, what's the crowd? Because the crowd would tell you what waves matter and which ones don't. The crowd instinctively responds to a great wave or not. So now we got to come back to Derek Ho and my dream. So between my 3rd good wave, you can catch as many waves as you want, but it's top 4. Between my 3rd good wave and the 4th wave in the rain squall, before that squall came over the mountain, Derek Ho had a screamer. I just gotten my 3rd good wave. I was paddling out. I got the best seat in the house, and Derek Ho is catching this bomb on the main apex peak. The whole beach is screaming. They want him to win. It's Hawaiians, and it's Derek Ho. I always beat Derek Ho. I'm like 10-0 against Derek Ho. I always beat Derek Ho. Like, I'm just saying, some things you can't explain. I never beat Tom Curran. I always beat Derek Ho.
Right.
So it's Derek Ho. And as I'm paddling, it's my dream. Because in my dream, I had a water view of Derek Ho in this insane barrel, and everyone's screaming, and then it just blows him up. So instead of a 10, it's a 2. And I'm paddling out, and I'm like, I am in my dream.
Crazy.
Now.
Deja vu.
But deja vu is usually a split second.
Right.
There's like 10 seconds. Like,
Unreal.
It's my dream. It's my dream. It's my dream. It's before I can even say he's going to get blown up. And the whole beach in Derek was like this giant barrel, like the Orange County Transit bus. Derek Ho, he's coming. It wasn't his year. He'd win the pipe 2 years later, be the world champion by winning the pipe. It was not his year. It was my time.
Wow.
And that thing just blew him up.
Wow.
Like a dynamite detonation. Just blew him up.
Unreal.
And I popped over the top and I said, because in my dream, when that happened, I knew in my dream I was winning. And I just said, I am winning the Pipe Masters right now. I am winning. Because I knew Aki had that good wave early on.
Crazy, man.
He didn't back it up, you know. And I'm winning. I'm winning the pipe.
Yeah.
And then the squall came and I caught the fourth wave. And then the range just pointed like going, because when you're winning, you want it to shut down, right?
Yeah.
You don't want any more wave.
Sure.
I'm like, oh my goodness, I think I won. Gosh, I think, I'm like, it's so surreal.
You're just sitting there for 10 minutes just watching it rain.
You know, it's not going to clean up in time. There's not going to be another good wave. No one can flip this score. And another wave never came. Well, I ended up like kind of paddling in. And when I came in, the whole beach came to me. And my good friend Billy Stang, who's a great pipeline surfer himself, he goes, Joey, you just won the pipe. Oh, he's like, oh my God, you just won the pipe. You just won the pipe, master. And I was like, oh, but you know, it wasn't official. It was not official.
Yeah.
I mean, the beach thought I won.
Right.
Billy Stang said I won.
Right.
But until you hear you won, you don't know if you won.
Sure.
So then I get up to the boards and you get ready for the awards ceremony and all that. The squall was gone. And then we're on the podium. And so they announced sixth place was Tom Carroll. He got concussed. He had a bad wipeout and he never recovered. He's one of the greatest surfers of all time, but it wasn't his day. Then fifth place was Derek Ho. Fourth place was Rabbit. And third was Max Medeiros. Now, Aki, it's just Aki and I on the podium because they go reverse, like sixth place, fifth. And Aki beat me 3 events in a row, man on man.
Wow.
So he'd had my number.
Wow.
And he's like 17. He's the hot shot, you know, he's the young guy at the time.
Right.
And I hear him say, Mark Akalubo. And everyone starts screaming. So I kind of was like, did they say he won? Like,
right.
I wasn't quite sure.
Right,
you see
right.
video clips of it. You can see them. I'm like, wait, what did they just say?
Right.
But Aki was on my right. And Tom Carroll, two of the greatest surfers of all time.
Yeah.
Carroll's on my left, the Aussie. This is the age of the Aussie dominance.
Yeah.
But Carroll and I were really close. And none of those guys like Aki anyways. He's the young guy, you know. Even though I was like, oh, mate, Aki's Aki, yeah. Aki this, Aki that, you know. So Carroll and I were really good friends. And he grabbed me and he goes, you won, mate.
Crazy.
You can see it on the video. Because I'm like, what? And he goes, you won, mate. So there's these epic photos all these photographers got where Carol's smiling. And I'm like, Aki's so bummed.
Yeah.
Like, Aki is just so bummed, you know, because you get that, you know, that's like almost winning the Masters, the green jacket. It's almost winning the gold medal. It's almost winning, the, you know, Wimbledon. Like, yeah, the silver plate's nice, but man, you almost won Wimbledon, man.
Right.
You know, like, so it hurts.
Right.
The most painful second place in pro surfing, without a doubt.
Right. Because you're right there.
Pipe Masters.
You're right there.
And there's some great surfers that got second place. And to get there, to that high up the mountain, the chance, it's like losing the Super Bowl, right? So often you lose the Super Bowl, you never get back. It's the most painful loss. It's just so hard to replicate what got you the Super Bowl. And Aki was so bummed. It's amazing he won the next year. Like, it's incredible. It was just as big the next year. So he, you know, he's that kind of guy. And he's like Joey Buran, and he made sure he won the next year. But that was my year. And so this is where the whole story and the testimony of the dream, this is all the dream. This is the first 10 chapters of the book, because this is where it really, again, it's like the angel Gabriel showed up or something, or Michael. Or
well, I can't help but reflect back to the little boy sitting in front of the TV saying, Mom, I'm going to do that. And then it's like, boom, you're on the podium, and it's like, it's hard for yourself to believe. Like like I've believed it so much, but it actually happened. It
was surreal, and it was almost like transdimensional, because it's like eternity was over time in that moment. It was almost like a private eternal moment for me. It's almost like in Saving Private Ryan, where it goes black and white when there's combat, you know, it goes eclectic. It was almost like that, where like this
You know the stars, the moons have aligned.
Yeah,
like, you know everything.
It happened. It really happened. So immediately there's all these interviews, the TV cameras, all this stuff. It's crazy. I'm holding this trophy,
Right.
and it's all happening.
Yeah.
And it starts to get overcast.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking like from the time they said, and I said, dreams come true, dreams come true.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time I said dreams come true to the next rain squall, maybe 5 minutes. Because it was semi-sunny after the final, and then because the rain squall, then the sun came out, and here comes another squall, an even bigger one. So now, all right, I'm doing these interviews, like, oh, I mean, like, I did it, like, I'm like, what? You know, like, I'm. This is my whole life, right?
Yeah.
So I'm doing the interviews, and there's TV cameras and all this stuff, and then the next rain squall comes, and it's just absolutely. People that were there, Brian Bielman, eyewitnesses, they all say, man, that was like a monsoonal. It wasn't just hard rain. It's the kind of rain you can't even drive through. If you were driving on the Cam Highway, you had to pull over. Mm-hmm. You can't drive when the rain comes down that hard, that much in that sequence. So I get off I'm doing the interviews, and now it starts to rain. Like, so it's cameras. People cover up their cameras. They're like, we're done. Hey, we're done. We got the story. I'm like, no, wait. There's more. You know, like, I was like, this is my moment. And everyone starts running, and the whole beach, everyone's getting off the beach. The event's over, and now this squall has just everyone taking off.
Wow.
So my boards were in front of the lightning bolt house, which is now the Wickham house.
Yeah.
About 40 feet from off the house fence line. Mm-hmm. I go back to my boards. Some guys had paddled out because pipe had looked good, so all the free surfers had paddled out at pipe, and they're out there in this rain squall, including my friend Billy Stang. And this Hawaiian guy comes up to me, and he says, hey, you got to give me the trophy. And I'm like, this is my trophy. You know, this is my Pipe Masters trophy, right? So this is kind of a funny part of the story because, you know, you revert to being a kid. Like, if you played golf your whole life, yeah, you just made $5 million for winning the Masters, but
sure.
But you already got $5 million.
Right.
You want the green jacket.
Right.
You want the green jacket.
Right.
It's about the jacket.
Right.
You know, like your wife's like, honey, you still got $3 million for second. Like, it's not about $3 million. You know, I'm a golfer. I've got millions. It's about the green jacket.
Yeah.
You know, and so for me, it's like, it's about the trophy.
Right.
$5,000 is like, you get that for losing first round on a qualifying tour right now, right?
Right.
So they took the trophy, and I'm like. And then I'm watching these Hawaiian guys return down the scaffolding, and then I realized there's no one on the beach. Now I had some friends there and everything. They all left. They got the car and they're doing stuff.
Sure.
You know, but it's raining.
Right.
It's raining hard.
Right.
And it's like I'm looking back toward the walkway where people come to the beach, so I'm kind of facing inland. And then I turn back around looking at pipeline, and I've got my boards. I had 3 boards. I have my 6.9, my 7.3, and my 7.10 that day. And they all looked the same. They had the same airbrush design, and everyone was gone. Everyone was gone. There wasn't a human soul near me, and you had to go like 50 yards this way, at least 40 yards this way to even see a human being. And it was the Hawaiian guys that were turning down the scaffolding. There wasn't the entire beach. There wasn't one person on the beach.
Unreal.
And it's just wailing rain, just wailing. And I was sitting there going like, this is unbelievable. Like, what just happened? Like, did this even happen? Like, it's so weird. I'm going like multi-dimensional to like the dream.
No,
and
totally. Right.
Like, this whole day is like, this is the weirdest day ever in human history. Bro. Joey Buran, like, how does it even, like, the swim meet where the car didn't start? Like, like my whole life, everything that ever happened is this moment. Like flashing images in a movie. Mm-hmm. And it's getting darker because it's late in the day. It's like 5:30 in December. It's getting darker. So it's getting darker and it's pouring rain. And I'm like, man, there has to be. Like, I won the pipe, and then I just remember having this thought, like, that's it? I don't even have the trophy. They took the trophy. Like, this is my whole life, and I'm standing alone. You know, God will make you alone. We know that. God puts people alone. You know, he takes, Jesus was tested in the wilderness for 40 days. There's moments when you're alone. Most people are very afraid to be alone. There's a great book by Elizabeth Elliot called Loneliness, because she lost 2 husbands, one of the Aka Indians and one to cancer. It's a great book. I read it about loneliness. And there's something that's overwhelming. There's an overwhelming darkness when you feel all alone. psychologically, you know, there's all kinds of medical, there's this fear of being alone. And I was all alone. I feel like I can honestly say, like looking back on my life at that moment, I'm not sure I ever was that alone. But there was a sense that in the entire universe, when all the stars aligned, everything, like Gabriel showed up, gave me the dream, showed me the headlines that would come out the next day on the 18th. It all happened, and then it was gone, and I'm in the driving rain, and I'm all alone. It was more the feeling. It's not so much the thought I tell people about at that moment, but the feeling of alone in the dark, in the rain, after being the greatest surfer on planet Earth in the greatest of all moments. It was insane. You know, and then my friend showed up, the rain let up, we went to dinner and all that, but I'll never forget that moment. It was so defining. And that's why the book's called Beyond the Dream, because the dream was dreams come true, and 10 minutes later, the dream was over. That whole life was over. That whole dream was over. That whole everything was done. That driving rain squall, and then standing alone on the sand in the fading light with 3 surfboards, all alone. There's got to be something beyond the dream.
Praise God. That's wild, man, because it's like, I mean, I can feel it, you know, I'm there on the beach with you, just like soaking in the darkness, just like, what? Like, you know, because there's supposed to be a blue jay like flying across the sky, right? It's supposed to be like
unicorns.
Yeah, you know, everybody's
unicorn goes running by.
You know, the
best day ever.
I mean, where's the bamboo throne? You know, they're gonna carry me around for 10 hours. You know, like where's the party gonna take off for 3-4 days? You know, like and celebrate. You know, and then it's just like, nope. Like the same storm, right, that gave you the championship is the same storm that literally like leveled everything, and you're like, are you kidding me? Like, but I mean, what a powerful moment, right? Because how in an instant can the whole thing be like both revealed and then like pulled away at the same time, where you're just like, wow, you know, like divine, like wow, and then it's like. And that's not what it's about. Like it's about something else. And you're like, what is this? Like, how can I be on the top of the world? Like, and be experiencing this. And then like just in the same moment, discover that maybe there's something else.
Something beyond the dream. And here's what's interesting is
man.
The 1984 Pipe Masters, this when VHSs first came out. And one of the first surfing VHSs in the 80s was the 84 Pipe Masters.
Wow.
So everybody watched me win the Pipe Masters on that VHS. It was played over and over, no matter where I go, dude, we had the Pipe Masters over and over and over for the next couple of years. And then like Blazing Boards came out, and by 87, 88, a lot more surf videos were out there. But the first one of the first ones, because Wide World of Sports didn't cover it that year anymore.
Wow.
So it went VHS.
Wow.
So everyone saw it over and over and over, me winning the pipe. Well, here's where, again, divine plans and purpose. In 1987, after I'd been asked to become a pastor by Brian Broderson at Calvary Vista, I said emphatically, no, no. I was in San Francisco for a U.S. tour event. So I had started the new U.S. tour. I did that for 2 years. I was over that. And I was going to junior college. I had just met Jennifer, my wife. I didn't know she'd be my wife at the time. I was just trying to figure out what I'm going to do in life. But I was walking with the Lord. I was making good decisions. But I had no idea, like at 27, what I'm going to do with my life. My life I had attempted suicide in 86. You know, my life was so empty after the pipe, all these things. Like what's the reference point? So I ended up committing my life to Christ in spring of 87.
Wow.
Made the decision. I was going to Calvary Chapel Vista. You know, there was external evidence of my life that I was a changed person. You know, I was being transformed, but lifestyle decisions, you know, quit going to parties, quit clubbing, all this kind of stuff. And just not because I had to, like, oh, you're a Christian, don't go to club. Like, I just didn't want to. Like, I just wanted to make better decisions. Like, man, I need to get on with my life. And I want to go to church. I knew something had happened when I wanted to go to church twice on a Sunday. Being Catholic, my background, you go to mass, it's like paying taxes. There we go, 55 minutes, double dip on the holy water. We're good, man. I double dip holy water, by the way. You just never know when you might need the extra dip.
I love it.
So, but like I knew, like I've like something really has happened in my life, because I would go to mornings, Sunday morning, and back then a lot of churches had Sunday night, right? Not so much anymore, but back then. And I'm like, I'm going back to Sunday night, and I'm like, Joe, why are you going to church twice? I'm like, I just want to, you know.
Right. Right.
So I knew like God had gotten a hold of my life.
Yeah.
But then Broderson asked me to come on staff as an interim pastor in October of 87. So that same year, I'm like, no way. And by the way, for all the pastors, this is when Jimmy Swaggart fell from his ministry. He fell in October 87.
Wow.
So Dan Rather and Tom Brokaw and those guys are all cooking Jimmy Swaggart on TV every night for being the hypocritical pastor.
Right.
And Brian asked me to be a pastor. I'm watching the news and I was like, that's going to be you. I'm like, you're not going to be a pastor.
Right.
No.
Right.
No, I like girls. I can't be a pastor.
Right.
Oh, my mom's like, why can't you be a priest? Well, because I like girls. You know?
Right.
These conversations you have, you know.
Right, totally.
So, because you can relate to this because you're a pastor, like the battle in your mind, like,
totally.
Can I even do this? I failed.
Yeah, you don't dream of being a pastor.
No, you do not dream of being a pastor.
You do not. You dream of being a pipe master. That's what you dream of being. Yeah, right there.
So, but you got to get beyond the dream. So Broderson asked me, and Brian's like, well, think about it. I'm like, oh, I've already thought about it. But I was at a contest on Halloween Day in San Francisco. And I almost drowned at Ocean Beach, like 15 feet. I got pummeled. The happy feeling was not there. There's no Gabriel, no Michael, there's nothing. I got pummeled. But I'd committed to speak at a church that night in Pacifica, share my testimony. So early on that year, my testimony was like, don't do drugs, God loves you. But as I grew in the Word of God, I began to have more things to say, like, God's got a plan for your life, and I became more confident. So anyways, I almost drowned. I was really mad about that. I lost, and then I went to this church, and I shared this story, and I shared about the pipe masters at the church. It was filmed by Mark Spitzbergen and his guys that were making a movie called Sunriders. It was Halloween night, about 60 people, and I was humbled that people came to hear me. Like, they could be trick-or-treating. They're here with me. So I shared that night. I'm like, wow, and I went home feeling really encouraged. So the discouragement from losing in a contest was replaced by feeling encouraged, being used by the Lord in ministry. I was like, wow, that was really cool. Spent the night in Santa Cruz. I'm driving home the next day on 5. So I cut across at Paso Robles, and got over on the 5. Right about Button Willow, this cassette tape generation. It's not Brady Bunch anymore, but it's cassette tapes.
Right.
It's 88.
Yeah.
87.
Okay.
It's November 1st, 1987. Greg Laurie had a 6-tape cassette series.
Yeah.
Called Used by God.
Nice.
Now, this is before the first Harvest Crusade.
Wow.
Before the first
No way.
For real.
Wow.
So this is when the Harvest book came out with all those guys.
Yeah. I remember that.
So Greg Laurie's like my hero on K-Wave. I just discovered K-Wave, and Greg's like, I resonate with Greg Laurie.
Yeah.
So 6 cassette tapes. Tape number 3, Forgiven and Used. Peter denying the Lord. And I listened to tape number 3. It was right about Button Willow. And I was done with the tape, and this profound thought entered my mind. And I feel like it was the Lord. He put it in my heart. Failure is inevitable, but growth is optional. So you have to decide whether you're afraid of failing or you're determined to grow in the process. And I knew that after I listened to that 3rd tape, because again, Jimmy Swaggart's on TV and he's a failure. And that's, my fear of that is greater than my desire. Like you said, no one dreams of being a pastor.
Right.
But I was called, and I remember the next day was November 2nd. It's always easy because it was Halloween, the sequence of events. I called Brian Broderson, and I said I'd do it. And now I'm 38 years a Calvary Chapel pastor.
Praise God. Unreal, man.
So that's really the summary of Beyond the Dream, because 3 years later, after all that, that's when I got Beyond the Dream.
Wow.
And that was Halloween, November 1st, November 2nd. But here's the amazing thing about that recording from Sunriders. We had no idea what Sunriders was going to do. I didn't even know who these guys were. Christian surf movie? We haven't heard of such a thing.
So they just hit you up and were like, hey, we're doing this.
They hit up Brian for money. He gave them money.
Okay.
And he's like, I should go film Joey. He's going to be up there.
Yeah.
I don't even remember how it came together.
Yeah.
Those guys did a phenomenal job with the movie. And it won all kinds of awards, like Dove Awards and all this stuff. It was seen by millions of people.
Wow.
By 1988, Sunriders was done, and it took Christendom in America by storm.
Wow.
And it told the story of the Pipe Masters beyond the dream.
Praise God.
So I went out with Jennifer our first year of being married and doing ministry, because I married Jennifer shortly thereafter. We went all these places with Sunriders. And so here's the amazing thing. The Pipe Masters VHS was 84. Sunriders was 88. a lot of people saw both. So they saw the dream
So crazy.
and they saw beyond the dream.
Wow.
And so that's the story. And finally, I've put it all together in the book.
Amazing.
Yeah, because we're never done. Your story's not done. You're early 40s. It's not done. You guys, your story's not done. You're just getting started.
Yeah.
So you're always weird about writing a book.
Yeah.
Like, because
Sure.
there's more to be told.
Totally.
But it's kind of like the Lord of the Rings or the Chronicles of Narnia. You know, there's different
That's right.
chronicles.
Right.
And certainly at this point in my life, it's a good time to tell these stories. And so the book is interesting because it's got a lot of the surf history that people like. It's got the pipe master story. As Sean Thompson said, man, you're inspired. You feel like you just won the pipe. And he won the pipe, so he would know. And then you have other people saying like it's a powerful testimony, and these different, Bob Hurley read the book, goes, oh my goodness, Joey, this is phenomenal. This is insane. He goes, you caught it. Because again, when my career happened, the surf industry went from 1 million a year to 1 billion in about 5 years.
Wow.
And Hurley rode that way with Billabong, and then Hurley, but we were good friends when I was 15.
Wow.
So like my story isn't just a story, but it's in a timeline.
Yeah.
That's super special for pro surfing. It's the birth of modern pro surfing. I started with a single fin at offshore surfboards without a leash and without a wetsuit.
Right.
And, so I'm kind of like up to 85.
You've kind of seen the whole, you got to experience the whole thing.
And now it's an Olympic sport.
Wow.
In Chopu, right? So, but we go back in time. And when we finish the book, just to wrap these elements up, when we finish the book, the publishers, both faith-based and non-faith-based, they really love it. So you're kind of Thomas Nelson kind of people. And like the book's incredible, but we just don't know the genre. We just don't know. Like, we don't know. It's like a sports book. It's like a surfing book. It's like an inspirational motivation book. It's like a faith-based book, but it's not really we don't really have a genre. Like the book is great, but we're not really sure what genre to really put it. So when it came out on Amazon, I'm in 3 categories. I'm in sports inspiration and sports motivation and faith.
Awesome.
I've got 3 categories. The books is ranked on Amazon, which just shows like leave it to Joey Buran, the middle child, to have like, it's not just, Skip Heisek's faith-based book or Tony Dungy's sports book from winning the Super Bowl. It's like, it's kind of, so it was great in the process because when we finished the book, the publisher I worked with is like a hybrid, so it's like hybrid publishing. So it's really like a self-publishing, and allows me to go to surf shops, Rotary clubs, bookstores, churches, And Bob Hurley, when he read the book, he just got back. The book's insane. I absolutely love it. And then when we got together, it's like Joey, think how Bob Hurley, his whole mind, he's one of the most brilliant business minds of all time in the sport of action, all action sports. He said, Joey, this book is going to reach everybody.
Wow, praise God.
He goes, it's so just the way it builds the dream beyond the dream. He goes, it's going to reach everybody, and they're going to love it. They're not sure what it's going to be when they get it, but by the time they're done, it's going to be. He goes, Joey, this is your life. This is your life is going out with this book, and it's kind of cool because it's been out there now for about 4 weeks. It's been
awesome.
Public.
Yeah,
it's done really well, and I'm prepared for bad reviews,
Yeah.
But, it's one thing if you write a book about, like, sovereignty of God, you get bad reviews. It's like, well, that's God's problem, But it's your memoir. It's like, it's hard not to take it personally. It's like, I know, like, hey, either you believe I had the dream with Derek or you don't. But I know I did, and I'm going to stand before the throne. And so, it's the truth is so good, I don't need to make anything up, Which is interesting because the whole year I worked on the book, I made sure there was absolutely, like, accuracy. I go over my mind, like, let's make sure. I was like, so that the Lord will honor it. Because, in ministry, He always honors truth.
Yes.
And so, anyways, the surf world has loved it. All these surf things that have nothing to do with faith-based are like, hey, it's a page turner. It's an inspiration. This is a phenomenal book. And so it's very encouraging. And when you have writers, and writers are it's like how pastors why I never teach at a pastor's conference? Because pastors are so critical of other pastors, right? I sit there, I'm like, oh man, Skip's going long, Man, what is he even trying to say right now? Dude, it's lunchtime, wrap it up, right? So, we kind of know, like, if you're doing a pastor's conference, like, you're putting yourself out there, And, well, with books, what other writers think of your book is, and all the writers that are really good writers, like, oh, Joey, the book is, we love it. It's so well written. We love the book. I cried. I laughed out loud. So I'm really encouraged. I've told people, you may not go for surfing or, a saving faith and a transformation and all this stuff, but in the end, it is my story.
Yeah.
And what we try to do, and I'll close with this thought with surfing. Good surfing is good surfing. Okay, so good surfing is like good ballet. It's like good figure skating.
Sure.
It's beautiful. The technical elements are clean.
Right.
Now, you may not have 4 spins for the long program, so you're not going to go for gold, but it's nice to look at.
Sure.
And I personally, when I watch surfing, I'd rather see really good, clean, technical surfing over radical surfing where you look out of control and it doesn't look clean.
Right.
And so even like with dancing, because I like to dance, I'm like, does that look clean?
Right.
Is that sloppy? Because you watch breakdancing, you can tell right away. They call it crashing. Like, oh, he crashed, but he saved it. That's a crash. You kind of mask it, like, and you keep dancing.
Yeah.
So with the book, I thought the book needs to be technically clean. So if it's technical elements in gymnastics or figure skating or surfing, it's clean. It's like what we call rail-to-rail surfing. It's clean, like grammatically, the flow and all that. And that's why I feel really good about the book, because I don't want to go out with a book and have people go, oh, the book was good. Joey didn't finish high school, so you can tell in the grammar, his adjectives, I think he got a GED. Kind of shows in the book, we couldn't have that. It has to be excellent.
Right.
And so from a writing standpoint and the skills of writing, and I wrote the book, 16 chapters, 140 pages, edited it for a year. And Emma from Calvary Publishing, I said, take a look at this and tell me what you think. She goes, and I watch all the YouTube saying, they'll shred your book, they'll shred you, don't take it personal. But she shredded me, and I try not to take it personal. But she's like, the book is good. But if you really think it's going to be that kind of book, you need a lot of help. And that was good counsel. And I brought in really good people, Robert Yealing, all of his team. These people have been writing for 50 years.
Wow.
And I brought in better people like Henry Ford. I don't know the answer, but these guys do, so go build a V8, figure it out.
Right.
That's what he did. We can't build a V8. Yes, you can. Go figure it out. He's got a high school education. Henry Ford did. And so I've learned to surround myself with smart people, skillful people, and recognize when I'm in over my head. And the book had gone as far as I could take it. But once Bob Yealing and these other people that do this for a living at a very elite level, that win awards, came in, man, they really made it sing, and they made it beautiful. And we added 2 chapters for different reasons, a better opening, and we just... and it sings. And so, like, I've approached it like, Josh, if this is my last year and I'm going to step into eternity, December 31st, 2024, then I need to finish this book. It needs to be excellent. And I need to go out with this book and reach as many people as I can with this book to inspire them, encourage them for the things that God has for them. That dreams are great. Yes. But what's even greater is what you find beyond the dream. Yes. On the other side.
Well, I think that's the connection, greater than surfing, greater than sports, greater than it's, I don't know, I guess being through it and standing on the other side completely. I mean, you've raised a family, you've been married 30 plus years, you've got grandkids,
9.
you made it to the top, you've lived on the other side, you've given your life for the kingdom, loving God, loving people. What would you say to that person, who's climbing that mountain, going to the top, and just like, I can't wait to see that view. Like, I can't wait to get up there. And I guess standing on the complete other side of it now and looking back at that mountain and just being like, you know what I mean? Like, what's the wisdom? What's the advice?
Well, overall, I would say always forward. I love the Rocky movies. Yeah. And Rocky's strength is that he always got up. Yeah. Clover Lane's like, look at him, Apollo Creed, they shake their head. I've learned in ministry, especially in the darkest, deepest places of despair and despondency, I just got to go forward. I just got to get through this day. Always forward. So that's one of my phrases. A lot of times when I sign books, I'll say always forward or always a future and a hope, because that's part of going forward. So I would say always forward. The saddest thing about doing memorials for suicides and stuff is realizing there was still more life that was there, that God had a plan to go forward. And I understand how things happen like that, having had a very serious attempted suicide myself. But there's bad days and good days, and you just got to ride out those bad days. And successful people will say, life is 2 steps forward, 1 step back. They'll say, life is 2 mountains, 1 valley, 2 mountains, 1 valley. I've just learned in life as a whole, you got to always go forward. I've had houses, I've lost houses. I've had lots of cars. I've bought gas with pennies when no one's looking. You know, I've learned the value of a human soul. I've given up a church with hundreds of people to pastor a church with very few to see one person say yes to Jesus, and the value of a soul. 14 months of my life in Vermont to learn the value of one soul. How far Jesus will go for a crazy naked man on the other side of the sea. Legion, to put him in a right mind and to call him. So you don't grow if you don't go forward. So you got to always go forward, and you just got to try and learn from your mistakes and go forward. But what I've really learned about, because I talk about wanting to be excellent, and people like that. The world likes that, you know. Right? Yeah, excellence. Sure. You know, McDonald's. The reason they've survived all these different trends is they're excellent. Right. Ray Kroc had a principle of excellence, and I've studied Ray Kroc extensively at McDonald's, and there's a reason they all U-turn up here on Beach Boulevard to go to McDonald's is excellence. So we appreciate excellence, and you know, to win the Pipe Masters, there had to be excellence. To pastor a church successfully for 10 years like you did, that's excellence. You know, 9 out of 10 church plants fail within 2 years. So just even talking to you about, you know, 10 years coming up for you. That's why I made a big deal about it. You know, we stopped everything we were doing. I said, that's huge. 10 years of anything of your life is extremely successful. That's excellence, especially surviving COVID in Los Angeles County and still standing. And that's excellence. And so I appreciate that. But as I set goals, because I always have goals, in recent years, I've really reverse engineered stuff, which I learned with working with the U.S. Olympic surf team. We never even touched on that, but being an Olympic coach, I trained at Colorado Springs. I was with the best coaches in the world.
Amazing. How long did you do it for?
2 years.
Wow.
And I was a surf coach for 20.
Yes.
But I was Olympic coach for 2.
Yeah.
And high-level training. And I learned a lot from very successful people, you know, whether we're studying John Wooden or Joe Gibbs Racing. We went to Charlotte and spent 3 days with Joe Gibbs and his racing team. And you learned a lot, but I really learned about reverse engineering, how I want this to look in 5 years. So, you know, I know what I want. I know where I want to be in 2029. I've got a 5-year plan. You know, we were talking about where I want to be when I'm in 2031 when I'm 70. I know exactly where I want to be 2 years after my 5-year plan when I'm 70. And I know my options, what Social Security is going to give me. I know what I can do for myself and who I want to rely on more, me or the government, right? Right. But I reverse engineer things. And so that's how you accomplish things. The book, a funny thing about the book is that my goal for just 2 years was to finish the book. Like, I got to finish the book. But what I learned as I was finishing the book is that you don't just finish the book and you're done. That's just the beginning. So I compare it to being on the Dodgers. I'm a Padre guy, but I'll compare it to Shohei Ohtani and the Dodgers. Yeah. If I'm going to play for Dave Roberts, and my whole life dream was to be a Dodger, and I'm one of 25 guys on that roster breaking camp. The goal wasn't to be a Dodger. The goal was to play first game of the season against San Francisco up there in the Bay. Now you got to be a Dodger. So writing the book is like, the goal wasn't to write the book. The goal was to get out with the message of the book. So I had to change my thinking. Right. So when you ask the advice I would give is that you have your goals, you can reverse engineer your goals and you get more realistic, you know, but I dream big and you adjust. But if you do something every day towards your goal, you had 30 days, you're 30 days closer to your goal. So for me, every day I have 4 things. This is what I had a social media post today, the dance video, you'll see it.
Yes, the best.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, so, and I get fired up. So
it's Redbone, you know, come and get your love, all right? So first thing, that takes me about an hour to get everything right the way I want it to look, Facebook, all that. So first thing, Ted, 4 main things today. Social media post before 10 when you get here. This time together, 10 to 2. Right. Give you all the time, no hurries. And if we go longer, this is the only thing that matters. Right. But then I need to do some financial reconciles on something, and I need to research shipping Beyond the Dream books to Florida because I'm doing a big event in Florida in October. So see, I got 4 things moving forward on Beyond the Dream and what I'm doing. Usually I have church stuff as well, but I don't have any church stuff today. So every day I've got what I call the big 4, or guys like Brian Tracy would say your A's. You got A's, B's, and C's, and you got to get your A's. I got lots of B's. If you look at my phone, you know, and I have things, you know, the compound effect. I have things I do every day. There's 5 things I do before 9, 5 things before 10. It could be doing Lucy's eyes, the dog's eyes, and taking my vitamins. But you know, when you get older, you got to remind yourself of stuff too, because you get forgetful. But I have my morning devotion. I have these different things. So I do this by 9. I do this by 10. And I do this by 6 in the evening, the afternoon 5, and the evening 5 by 8. So there's 20 things I do every day, moving me toward the character and the purpose I want to be. But there's the big 4 that keep me moving toward my goals. And so now it's about getting out with the book. Last week I sent out 14 books. Raul Reese, John Randall. I got to get the book out there. That's the next thing.
Yeah.
See, so that's how I run my life, because the most precious thing you have when you're 63 is time. And it's the most precious thing you have when you're 42 or 22 or 12, but you don't know it as much.
Right.
But you know, as we were saying earlier, I'm in the fourth quarter. So I think for me, when I think of advice, always forward. If you just keep going forward, have clarity of what you're doing every day. Don't waste days. Paul said, redeem the time.
That's good.
Don't waste your days. And even Moses said in Psalm 90, hey, teach us to number our days and value our days. Give us a heart of wisdom. And Paul said even to be circumspect and walk in wisdom and redeem the time. So both times we're told in the Old and New Testament to redeem time, it involves wisdom. So we use our days wisely. So for me, time is the most valuable thing I have, because I'm 63, and I've seen a lot of funerals of people in my peer group, and so I want to finish strong. Fourth quarter, it's winning time. I told you about Harlan Sanders. We're just pouring it on. KFC, Colonel Sanders. We're just getting going. The rest of my life, the best of my life. So I've got 4 main things, and I've got consistent things I do every day. I was listening to Levi Lusko long ago, and I heard him say compound, and I go, hey, this guy's read The Compound Effect, famous book. I go, Levi Lusko was in my Bible college class in 2000.
No way.
I was his professor, yeah.
Wow, I love it.
Look what happened to Levi.
Yeah.
I made him a group leader.
Yeah.
And Tim Chaddick and those guys like, there's no way that guy's a leader. I had Chaddick in that class too. Dominic Bali was in that class.
Oh, I love it, dude.
No, dude, we all see why you picked us, but why Levi Lusko?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, Levi gets a kick out of that.
That's great.
But Levi Lusko was talking about the compound effect. And the book, The Compound Effect, is about consistently the same things every day, like how John Wooden did things every year at the John Wooden every year at UCLA, first day of practice. This is how you put your socks on, so you don't get blisters. Consistency. So I have the compound effect of consistent things. Einstein said the most important equation in the universe is the compound effect. So all these guys like Andrew Carnegie that died and couldn't give all their money away, once you have so many tabs open making 3%, you can't even keep up with it.
Totally.
So they'll never, the money it's endless. And Einstein says the most important math equation in the universe is compound effect. So you talk about compound interest, why someone tells you at 22 to start putting 3% down, and when you'll have 2.3 million by 2061, whatever, right? So I go for compound effect with the Lord. Consistency with the Lord, with how I manage my day, but identifying the 4 things next day. So I wake up, I'm not wondering what I'm doing, I already know what I'm doing. I'm doing the social media post before you get here, and we're doing this at 10, and we're having a good time, we're not doing it in a hurry. Because usually every day has one main thing, is that thing.
Yeah.
And we want to enjoy it, because we may not be here again, especially with all the pastors, right, and deacons. So, but I put it all together this way. What I've really learned, whether you win the Pipe Masters or you successfully pastor a church after 10 years in Los Angeles and survive COVID, man, you deserve a trophy for that.
You're kind.
Yeah, well, someone probably take it away, though. But you do deserve, that's why I said, I was like, hey, dude, you want breakfast? What can I do for you? That's street cred right there in the pastor world, But what I've really learned is that everything with the Lord is to be transformed from glory to glory. Yes. It says in Corinthians, we're being transformed in a mirror from glory to glory. So if we're growing a little bit each day with the Lord, or compounding our interests and pursuits toward the kingdom, we're going to get better. So I want Jennifer, my wife, to have a better version of Joey in 2025 than 2024. So my son works for Hyundai. He's an executive, and so we get these upgrades. So I have a 2022 Palisade, but now I got a 2024 Palisade, and they're considered upgrades. So I want to give the kingdom of God an upgrade. I want to give my wife and my children, my grandchildren, the congregation upgrade. I want a upgraded version of the Palisade, right, or the Santa Fe. I want to give them a Joey upgrade, and that's obtainable, because if we're going forward with the Lord as a general disposition, like you chart your course out of Newport and you're going to Tahiti, you keep the right course, you'll get to Tahiti. But if you don't, you'll end up in Fiji or something, So like the right course, and if you're really seeking personal development with the Lord and growing, you'll be a better version. And we don't need to fear getting older, because the rest of our life is the best of our life with King Jesus, because all things work together for good. So I'm not afraid of dementia. I'm not afraid of memory care. And I've seen a lot of both in the last 10 years, taking care of my parents and other people. I'm not afraid of any of that, because I know I'm going from glory to glory, and this treasure's in an earthen vessel, and though the outward man's perishing, the inward man's being renewed daily. So I make sure I do my part. I fill my water pots, and if he wants to make it wine, that's his business. But I'm not going 3/4 up on that water pot. Gentlemen, I'm filling the rim. Because I don't want to come short. And I would say the last thing is this. I used to think it was always about the trophy and the prize. It's really about who you become. That's really the thing. It's who you become. See, you should get a trophy for pastoring for 10 years in Los Angeles and surviving COVID and the church congregation and rebuilding. You truly do deserve to be recognized for that, and certainly the Lord will recognize you for it. But it's not so much a trophy that could sit on a shelf. It's who you are on this day in September 2024. It's who you are.
Yeah.
So that's what Christ is working on. And that's why all things work together for good. Whether they take your church, you lose your church, or you don't get a building ever, or whatever. It's who you are in that pursuit. It's who you become. And that's what I've learned, because we're being transformed from glory to glory. And the goal is to become more like Jesus. And that's obtainable for all of us. And that's something, that's why I like, don't end your life. It'll end soon enough. Let's go forward. Come on, get off the canvas, always forward with Jesus. So it's like, it's the little things, they do take a compound effect. Clarity of your purposes and having 4 main things that works for Joey Buran. So I'm moving toward my goals, whether they're ministry or family or retirement, whatever. But realizing it's not about the trophy or wealth that gets left behind. It's about who I become and the legacy of my life. So I remind myself every day, choices is my character, habits are my legacy. So tilt the room for Jesus today.
Amen. Amen. Dude, Joey, you're refreshing.
Thank you.
Authentic, genuine, and just like, I don't know. I mean, this podcast is next level, I mean, it's just, I'm receiving, I'm receiving.
Well, we're pastor to pastor too.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
it's like baton, you know, like, or almost like warriors, like in platoon when the one guy's leaving and the guy's coming, and that famous scene where one guy's leaving the battlefield and you can tell he's seen it and a new guy's coming. So what I even tell you earlier, like what to expect 20 years from now when you're in ministry, it won't be about the young families and the kids, and marriage will be about adult siblings. It'll be about trust in estates and elderly parents who don't know who you are and didn't leave money to take care of them. So I'm getting out of now. You're coming in.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? Like
I receive it.
But like that's we're one generation apart.
Yes.
But you're deep enough in the race to know it's a real race.
Yeah.
It's like a triathlon.
Yeah.
You just finished. You're riding the bike right now.
Yeah.
I'm on the marathon.
Right.
But you know that you're deep enough in this to know, and all you guys, it's a real deal. But what else would you do?
Yes.
What else would you want to do?
Yeah. Where else am I going to go?
We didn't dream about it.
Yeah.
We didn't dream about it, but we're called to it. So praise God and do it well.
Oh, amen. Amen. Thank you, Joey.
Fill those water pots too.
Amen. Oh, all the way to the brim, baby. My cup overflows, man. We're going big. And
all right.
So where can people find you?
Well,
best way to find your book, best way to connect with you. Well, they want you to come share at a church. They want you to connect, all the things.
Well, joeybrand.com is my website, and you can reach me there. You can also reach me through the church, worshipgeneration.com.
Yes.
The book is available on Amazon, Amazon Prime, so you can get the book right through Amazon, and that works. I would love to come out and share with the book at congregations.
Yes.
I'm very open to any invitations. But, Worship Generation is a Saturday night church. We ended up at Shoreline Baptist 19 years ago.
Yes.
We looked for Sunday mornings for a while, and the Lord said, no, no, no. And finally we just said, okay, like Paul 3 times asking, we're Saturday night. So it allows me to go out on Sundays without missing my main service. And so that works out well. And then our midweek is Tuesday. So Joey Buran is very available for Wednesdays and Sundays.
Awesome.
And, in times past, I did a fair amount of guest speaking for people like Pastor Rawl and others. But I went through a stretch where I said no for about 10 years to everybody. Because I was focused on my kids and the grandkids. I'm like, I just know. But now it's yes. Now it's yes. And so I've really put out there, like said, I've reached out to all these guys I know and said, hey, for what it's worth, I'm available. I'd love to come out and share that there's always a future and a hope, and there's way more beyond the dream. It's too early to quit. So let's run. Paul said, "Run to win." And that we're not just running for the marathon medal. It says I ran the marathon. Now he said we're to run to win. And I tell people I'm not hoping for victory. I'm coming from victory. Because Christ is total victory. So that's my message. I go there and get people fired up and remind them Jesus on the throne, and You know, it all gets left behind. I tell the millennials, don't worry, you'll own a house because no one can take them with them. You know, sooner or later, it all good. You know, it's all going to get redistributed.
Yes.
So don't lose heart.
Right.
Give those things to the Lord. Just stay focused on serving the Lord.
Yes.
And I want to go out and encourage people. I want to inspire people. I especially want to encourage the younger generations. So for whoever's listening, I just love Gen X, millennials, and Zs, because they need to know that there is a future and a hope, and Jesus is the same yesterday and forever.
Yes.
So don't let the inflation or the cost of housing in California discourage you. We can find a way with faith. So, and that's what I really want to do is, man, when I see a young person in line getting a book, I'm like, what's your dream? What's your goal? What are your classes right now? What do you want to do? Because there is a future now. And they got their dreams. And God will get them the dream and get them beyond the dream and from here to eternity. And he's faithful in every generation. So that's the story behind the book. I am available, joybrand.com, worshipgeneration.com. The book is available at Amazon and barnesandnoble.com. And Joy Brand is available through 2025, presuming I'm incorrect that this could be my last year.
Yeah.
And if it's my last year, then you might want to book me before New Year's.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on the show. And you're beyond the dream, living the dream. You're doing it, and continue to build the kingdom. Thanks for blessing us today. Everybody go check out Joey, go see what he's doing, support him, and check out the book. Go check him out at his church, invite him out to come and speak, do all the things. We love you, man. Thanks for all you're doing.
Love you guys too, and thank you guys for having the interest. I really am glad we got connected through Josh Cisco, and I'm glad you reached out when you did. As I told you, you were already on the list. You were in the B's. You weren't on A yet, but you were moving up. I was going to reach out, and you got me, and so you went right to the A because you went to the counter and said, "Hey, we're going to see a doctor." You know, like we were talking about. Like, you went A, and I went A right back on you, and we're here today. And God bless your ministry. There's a lot of work, and it's your vision, it's your dream, and you're not just pastoring a church fruitfully and successfully in Los Angeles and with all your staff here, these wonderful people, these guys, but you're local and you're global. And that's, us guys in ministry, we appreciate that. So go forward, keep going forward. God bless you. Let me know if I can help in the future. And Lord bless all the podcasts and everything you're doing, and just keep shining.
Thank you, Joey. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to the show today. We really appreciate you. And it would mean the world to us if you would like or subscribe and you would write an honest review for us. It's one of the fastest ways to get the word out for us and to share it with others. And so if you don't like texting for a review, you can always voice to text. That's a fast way to write one and really help us rate the show and get it out to the world. Thank you so much for listening again. We hope it continues to bless you and encourage you each and every week. And of course, leave you stoked.